This woman was a guardian spirit, yet she was hung on the city walls and burned alive for 3 days and 3 nights. After her death, her body was dismembered by the tyrannical emperor of this country. 8 pieces were fed to the dogs. Dark, twisted, and sickeningly cruel. This was the modern-day office worker's impression of this novel. However, what she didn't expect was that with a blink of an eye, she tragically transmigrated into this cliché novel. She became Qi Jing, the guardian spirit of the Yin Kingdom in the book. She became the villainess who abused her disciple, Sheng Tingwei, when he was young and ultimately met a tragic end. Having arrived in this world, Qi Jing watched as the male protagonist, who would eventually kill her in the book, appeared before her. A sense of helplessness welled up inside her. So, it's true, one cannot change their destined fate. The male lead was still a child now, sent to Qi Jing by his father, the emperor. The second prince's mother had just passed away. The emperor then sent him to this wasteland to become Qi Jing's disciple. Such is the heartless nature of the Imperial family. The messenger also said that if Qi Jing refused to accept him, he would be left in the wasteland to fend for himself. No need to send him back. Qi Jing looked into the child's innocent eyes and pondered for a moment. Knowing the novel's ending, she knew that to survive, she had to start 10 years earlier, that is, from the moment they met, and cultivate herself into a good master. Without further hesitation, she softly said to the messenger, "All right, take him in." The fox spirit who had brought the child in, upon hearing this, smiled and said to Sheng Tingwei, "That's wonderful. Master is willing to accept you as her disciple. Hurry and greet your master." Unexpectedly, the child's face showed a look of resistance, unwilling to take a step forward. Seeing this, Qi Jing thought, "It seems he doesn't like me." But thinking about it carefully, it made sense. If he liked her, he wouldn't kill her. However, what's meant to be will be. Since that's the case, I'll properly cultivate our relationship. Qi Jing walked up to the 5-year-old Sheng Tingwei, bent down, and softly said, "If you don't like calling me master, you can also call me sister." Unexpectedly, the first words the child spoke to her were only 3 words. Sheng Tingwei's voice was clear and loud. He looked directly at Qi Jing and shouted, "Evil spirit." The boy pointed at the woman in front of him and loudly said, "You are an evil spirit who brings calamity to the nation and its people. You are not worthy of being my master." And this woman he was pointing at was indeed not human. She was called a guardian spirit. On this continent, guardian spirits had always been known as the Emperor's Sword. They were responsible for protecting the country corresponding to their respective seasons, and shouldered the heavy responsibility of assisting the emperor. A strong spirit meant a strong nation, and a strong nation meant a brave army. This had always been an unchanging truth in this land. However, Qi Jing, the guardian spirit of the Yin Kingdom, was a special existence. It was rumored that she was immortal and possessed devastating beauty. Her spiritual power was exceptionally strong, but none of the emperors she had assisted had lived past 40. Therefore, the rumor that she bewitched emperors and cursed the imperial bloodline had long spread among the common people. She was a veritable calamity-bringing spirit, and this young prince, Sheng Tingwei, who had been sent to the wasteland by his father and ordered to become Qi Jing's disciple, now stood before this calamity-bringing spirit and pointed at her, saying, "I don't want you, this evil spirit, as my master. I want to go back to the palace and see my father." Although Qi Jing knew her reputation was bad, it was the first time she had been cursed at to her face. She thought, rumors are truly frightening. If she truly had the ability to bewitch emperors, how could the original Qi Jing in the book be afraid of this little tyrant growing up? However, now, she was truly living in this guardian spirit's body. Putting herself in the original Qi Jing's shoes, she could somewhat understand why she abused her disciple. As a member of the demon race, she was naturally proud and hated being enslaved by the royal family. Now, she was being cursed at by the emperor's 5-year-old son. Who wouldn't be angry? This story goes back hundreds of years. Back then, during the Great War between humans and demons, the demon race was defeated. Human greed turned them into caged birds, bound by contracts. Without the permission of the emperor, guardian spirits couldn't take a single step. Qi Jing, thinking of her tragic fate in the original book, resolved to avoid her death. She had to build a good relationship with this future tyrant in front of her. She slowly approached Sheng Tingwei, her expression indifferent, showing no trace of anger. She softly said, "Your Highness, casually insulting others is unbecoming of a royal." Upon hearing this, Shang Tingwei retorted arrogantly. What right do you have to lecture me? You're nothing but an evil spirit abandoned by my father. There are so many women in the harem. Why were you specifically banished to such a remote place? Qi Jing's face darkened at his words. She said enough. Her anger carried a hint of something more complex. She wasn't just angry at Shang Tingwei's insolence. She simply couldn't understand how a prince of the Yin Kingdom could be raised to be so rude and unreasonable. Was it his nature, or was someone deliberately influencing him? She pondered for a moment, thinking that the little tyrant was still young and impressionable. She couldn't bear to watch him go astray. So she countered, if your father banished me to the wasteland because he loathed me, then what about you? According to you, your father still wants you to take me as your master. Doesn't that mean he loathes me even more? Shang Tingwei was momentarily speechless upon hearing this. Qi Jing looked at him and continued, there are countless concubines in the harem, but I am the only guardian spirit. Yet, you are different. The current emperor has many children. Why was only you abandoned? Shang Tingwei wanted to argue defiantly, but knew he had no ground to stand on. He stammered, you're lying? I wouldn't be abandoned. Qi Jing leaned down and retorted, but the emperor's decree stated that if I didn't want to take you as my disciple, you should be left to die in the wasteland. Do you still think this isn't abandonment? You're deceiving yourself. If you refuse to face reality, then please leave. I don't need a disobedient disciple like you. Turning to her fox demon attendant, she said, Shuyan, let's go. Qi Jing then left directly. The little prince, left standing there, was stunned. They just left? Shouldn't they be trying to coax me? Tears welled up on his spoiled little face. In the palace, no matter what he did, everyone would cater to him, coax him, and give him whatever he wanted. But why? Why was this demonist different? Now, in this freezing and unfamiliar place, there was no one to help him. He stood alone in the snow, cold and afraid. The little boy was abandoned in the icy wilderness. On one side was the howling of the biting wind, and on the other, he could hear the mournful cries of hungry wolves on the icy plains. He shivered from the cold and couldn't help but sneeze. Qi Jing, who had left him there, waited with her attendant, the fox demon Xuan. Xuyin couldn't help but ask Master, it's freezing here. Are you really going to leave the second prince there? Qi Jing explained, don't worry. Although he's spoiled and willful, he's not stupid. He won't let himself freeze to death. But his arrogant and rude nature, if unchecked, will lead to his own downfall. As she spoke, she thought, although he's destined to be killed by the male lead in 10 years, can I really reform him from childhood and prevent his tragic fate? From behind came the sound of hurried footsteps, sounding somewhat unsteady. The second prince had indeed panicked and run after the receding figures of Qi Jing and Xuan. He reached out his small hand and grabbed Qi Jing's clothes. Don't go. Qi Jing looked back at him, her expression unchanged. Does the second prince need something? For the first time, the little boy experienced the feeling of being completely alone. His heart stirred with emotion. He said to Qi Jing, somewhat embarrassedly, don't go. Qi Jing glanced at the slightly flustered Shang Tingwei and asked, why should I listen to you? Shang Tingwei held on to her and continued, I know I was wrong. I won't call you a demoness anymore. His eyes filled with grievance and misery. Don't abandon me. As soon as he finished speaking, he collapsed with a thud, as if he had used his last ounce of strength to speak. The tension that had held him together throughout his journey to this cold wasteland finally broke, and his young body could no longer hold on. He fainted on the spot. Qi Jing was startled. She hadn't expected the second prince to be so exhausted. She leaned closer and could still hear Shang Tingwei lying on the ground, murmuring softly, as if speaking to Qi Jing, or perhaps to himself, don't abandon me. I'll be obedient. It was a tragic story. A woman, unwilling to let the emperor give her son to a demoness, knelt and begged him to spare their son. But the emperor of Yin saw this as a threat and cruelly strangled her to death. Now, the little prince who had been sent away was sleeping quietly in bed, exhausted from the journey and exposed to the cold wind in the wasteland. He had fallen ill with a fever. Seeing the little boy beg her earlier, Qi Jing had softened and brought him back to her house. She cared for him, wiping him down to reduce his fever and applying cooling patches. Looking at the frail child lying in bed, Qi Jing felt a pang of sadness. Who would have thought that this weak child would become a tyrannical killer in the future? Shang Tingwei lay in bed. Even though his eyes were closed and he was unconscious, his brow remained furrowed as if in great discomfort. He was dreaming, A bad dream. He remembered the day his mother died. That morning, she had been warm and caring, but by afternoon, she had become a cold, stiff corpse. His father had been indifferent to it all, leaving him alone to cry by his lifeless mother. Qi Jing watched Sheng Tingwei, his face contorted in pain as he slept, and heard him whimper softly in his dream. Mother, don't die. Qi Jing thought he must be having a nightmare. Is he dreaming about Consort Hua? He recalled Sheng Tingwei's life from the original book. The emperor loved his son dearly. Because he tried to stop the emperor from sending his son away, he was killed by the emperor's own hand. This led the young Sheng Tingwei to believe that if he hadn't been there, the emperor would have accepted Qi Jing as his teacher, and Consort Hua wouldn't have died. Thus, he regarded Qi Jing as indirectly responsible for his mother's death, harboring this deep-seated resentment. This was one of the main reasons for the later conflict between master and disciple. Thinking of this, Qi Jing thought that since the young protagonist hadn't grown up yet, she had to extinguish this resentment in Sheng Tingwei's heart as soon as possible to avoid the tragic future. At this moment, the sleeping child suddenly turned over. Qi Jing collected her thoughts and turned to look. Seeing that he was about to roll off the bed, she quickly reached out and caught him. Sheng Tingwei, sensing the movement, opened his eyes and began to wake up. However, upon opening his eyes, he saw Qi Jing's unfamiliar face. He was startled and unexpectedly swung his small hand and instinctively struggled. Slap! He raised his hand and struck Qi Jing's face. The woman's beautiful face was scratched by the little boy. Her expression darkened. Sheng Tingwei, held in her arms, froze. In his panic, he blurted out, "I'm sorry," and began to tremble. He stammered, "I didn't mean to. Please don't eat me. Don't dig out my heart." Sheng Tingwei was both frightened and terrified. He remembered the rumors circulating in the palace. It was said that the guardian spirit of the wasteland, Qi Jing, was cruel and bloodthirsty and liked to dig out the hearts of living people. Thinking of this, tears welled up in his eyes. He continued to plead, "I didn't mean to scratch you. Please don't eat my heart." Qi Jing, seeing his panicked state, was taken aback. "What? Dig out what heart?" She thought the rumors were too exaggerated. Speechless, she gently put Sheng Tingwei down. She explained to him, "Those are all lies. I don't eat human hearts." The child looked at Qi Jing with uncertainty. He softly asked, "Really?" Qi Jing nodded at him. She rubbed his head and comforted him. "Cultivators don't eat people, so don't cry. You're safe." After a while, Qi Jing felt a stinging pain on her face where the child had scratched her. She hissed. Seeing this, Sheng Tingwei's eyes filled with concern. He worriedly asked, "You're bleeding. Are you going to die?" Qi Jing, hearing this, was a bit dumbfounded. Did this child have no common sense? She reassured him, "It's just a small wound. A little blood won't kill me." However, Sheng Tingwei's tears welled up again. He whimpered, "But my mother, she died because she bled." Seeing that little Sheng Tingwei didn't believe her, Qi Jing continued, "Really, look at me." She then extended a finger and cast a small spell on her face. In the blink of an eye, the scratch disappeared. She smiled at Sheng Tingwei and asked, "See, the wound healed so easily." Sheng Tingwei's jaw dropped. He let out a gasp of surprise, somewhat disbelieving. Qi Jing then took a small hand and let him touch the place where she had been injured. She said to him, "See, I didn't lie to you. Now the wound isn't bleeding and I won't die." Sheng Tingwei's hand touched her cheek. "Doesn't it hurt?" Qi Jing smiled at him and replied, "Not at all." Hearing this, the little prince withdrew his hand. As if remembering some unpleasant memory, tears welled up in his eyes again. He said, "Wei-cheek ly, you're lying. Last time the empress had someone hit me, it hurt for a long time." Qi Jing was surprised to hear this. She asked in return, "What? The empress hit you?" She recalled the plot from the original book. The emperor had 4 sons. The empress's son was the most outstanding and seemed poised to become the crown prince. Yet, for some unknown reason, the emperor favored the second prince, Sheng Tingwei. Although she couldn't remember some important details, one thing was certain. The empress always saw Sheng Tingwei as a thorn in her side and had secretly employed many schemes against him. In the future, she certainly wouldn't let the second prince off easily. However, the empress didn't yet know that Sheng Tingwei had been sent to this wasteland. He was safe for now, as it would be 10 years before he returned to the palace. Thinking of this, Qi Jing made up her mind. To avoid his tragic death, she had to treat this future little tyrant well and teach him. When he became emperor one day, even if she left, she wouldn't wouldn't have any regrets. Qi Jing crouched down and held the child's hands. She said gently, "From now on, with me here, no one can bully you. I will always believe in you and protect you." At this moment, the wronged little prince, feeling warmth in his heart, couldn't help but burst into tears. Qi Jing hugged him and patted his back, continuing to softly promise Sheng Tingwei, "Remember, no matter what, Master will always be on your side." The little disciple looked at his master's beautiful eyes and couldn't help but want to get closer to her. 10 years later, the cheap disciple she had picked up in the snow had grown into a young man. He walked over briskly, calling out to Qi Jing, "Master, Master." He had planned to find his beloved master to fly a kite with him. Entering the room, however, he saw Qi Jing dozing off, her chin resting on one hand. She sat there motionless, like a breathtakingly beautiful portrait of a celestial being. Sheng Tingwei approached her. Seeing her eyes closed, he could hear her even breathing as he got closer. Then he saw her frown slightly. Does Tinga not want? Sheng Tingwei thought to himself, is Master talking in her sleep? How cute. He leaned in closer, wanting to hear the secret of her dream. Softly, he said, "Master, don't." The young man looked at the sleeping woman's eyes. Her eyelashes were so long. Her hair still carried Master's unique fragrance. For a moment, he was lost in thought. His heart began to race. He realized something was wrong. His ears started to burn. That's strange. Why is my heart beating so fast? Meanwhile, Qi Jing was in the midst of a nightmare. In her dream, a grown-up Sheng Tingwei, his face expressionless, pointed a sword at her coldly. She struggled and ran, shouting, "Don't kill me." She couldn't understand why the young man she had treated kindly and taught diligently for all these years would want her dead. The man's ruthless voice echoed in her ears. Destiny cannot be defied. The outcome of defeat cannot be changed. You must die. Don't. Qi Jing woke up from the nightmare with a start, her eyes snapping open. She realized it had all been a dream. She was a little shaken. Opening her eyes, she felt someone's warm breath in front of her. She grabbed the person's hand, a hint of wariness in her voice as she asked, "Pingna, what are you doing? Why are you here?" The young man had reached out to touch her while she was dozing, but the startled master woke up and grabbed his hand tightly. Seeing Sheng Tingwei before her, she scolded, "Why are you slacking off? Recite the military texts I told you to memorize earlier." Sheng Tingwei looked a little wronged as he explained, "I memorized them a long time ago. I wanted to find Master to fly a kite and take a break. I didn't expect to see Master asleep as soon as I entered the room. And then you grabbed my hand so hard." After listening to his explanation, she thought to herself, "It seems I really misunderstood." She apologized to Sheng Tingwei, explaining, "Master just had a nightmare. I woke up in a panic and didn't pay attention." She asked him if she had heard him. Sheng Tingwei looked a little worried. He asked, "Master, I've never seen you with such a terrified expression. What did you dream about? Was it very scary?" Qi Jing suddenly didn't dare look at him. She turned her head and murmured, "I dreamed a big demon was going to kill me." Sheng Tingwei frowned at her words and replied, "With me here, no one can hurt Master." Hearing that someone wanted to harm Qi Jing, although the young man was still a child and inexperienced in magic, his brow still revealed an undeniable Imperial aura. Qi Jing felt a little embarrassed by his serious look. Little did she know that the big demon who hurt her in her dream was this very boy. Suddenly, snowflakes drifted in from outside the door. Just a moment ago, the weather had been clear, but now it was snowing heavily. The weather in the wasteland was as unpredictable as ever. Sheng Tingwei glanced at the falling snowflakes, unfazed, and said to Qi Jing, "It's snowing. Spring snow. It seems I can't fly a kite with Master today." Qi Jing, seeing his calm demeanor, smiled and said, "I still remember when you first came to the wasteland, you had never seen snow. You were so fascinated by it back then." Qi Jing recalled the scene from 10 years ago. Back then, Sheng Tingwei was small, only half his current height. She still vaguely remembered the little prince, his voice childish, calling her master and curiously asking, "Were these white things? Is it snow? Is it the snow from the textbook that says, 'Sudden snow in the 8th month'? Why is it snowing?" The female protagonist, who had transmigrated into a guardian spirit, was explaining the scientific principles of the 21st century to the little boy. Snow is water vapor in the air. When the water vapor condenses into water droplets or ice crystals, and they fall from the sky, it becomes the rain or snowy sea. The little prince of the Li Kingdom, hearing this novel explanation for the first time, was very puzzled. He asked, but the palace priests say rain is a gift from the gods. Qi Jing, without much thought, blurted out habitually, "That's all feudal superstition. We must believe in science." Hearing this, the young Sheng Tingwei suddenly felt a thirst for knowledge. These unfamiliar and interesting words stirred his heart. He continued to ask, "Master, what is science? It sounds very powerful." Seeing his eagerness, Qi Jing knew that explaining it would be a bottomless pit. She quickly stopped him, saying, "You have too many questions." The scene changes. Thinking of this, Qi Jing sighed. Time flies. He had actually lived in this strange, different world for 10 years. And the carefree boy of his childhood was now taller than him. Although their life in the wasteland had been the same for 10 years, there was one thing that worried him greatly. His apprentice was good at everything, both scholarly and martial. However, ever since arriving in the wasteland, for some unknown reason, whenever he caught a cold, he would cough up blood and have a fever. Qi Jing had even used calligraphy to examine his body, but couldn't find any dandruff. At this rate, he might not live past 20 years old. Qi Jing once suspected that this might be the fault of the author of this book. In order to cater to European and American audiences, the author ruined the male protagonist character. Thinking of this, the young Sheng Tingwei started coughing again. His old ailment was acting up. Qi Jing worriedly asked, "Why are you coughing again?" and hurriedly took out a handkerchief to wipe for him. Compassion welled up within him. He said to Sheng Tingwei, "If you continue like this, your body won't be able to take it. Do you want me to experience the pain of a white-haired person sending off a black-haired person?" Hearing the sudden concern, the young man was stunned. Warmth filled his heart. He softly replied, "Don't worry, master. I will at least live long enough to bury you." He then shyly pointed to the handkerchief that Qi Jing had used to wipe his mouth and asked, "Master, can you give me this handkerchief?" Qi Jing replied, "It's dirty. If you like it, I'll get you a clean one." But unexpectedly, the boy shook his head and started to act coquettishly to "No, I want this one." Qi Jing was speechless. He hadn't realized that this little cub he had raised for 10 years had such a strange collecting habit. Seeing Sheng Tingwei's insistent look, Qi Jing relented and handed him the handkerchief, saying, "Here you go. Remember to wash it before using it." However, as he took the handkerchief, the young man's fingertips brushed against Qi Jing's hand. Sheng Tingwei's heart suddenly began to race. Thump, 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 thump. He murmured to himself, "It has master's scent." The young man held the handkerchief to his nose and inhaled. "This is master's scent. It smells so good." Qi Jing was shocked by this. Asterisk, I shouldn't have allowed him to do such strange things. What am I going to do with this misguided, silly apprentice? Asterisk year after year, day after day, since Qi Jing had transmigrated into this book, he had only wanted to appease the male protagonist to save his own life. He had hoped that when the young protagonist ascended to his rightful position, he could break their contract, avoid the tragic ending in the book, and return to his original world. But as he accompanied Sheng Tingwei's growth, his heart, like anyone else's, was made of flesh. After 10 years of living together, he had unknowingly come to regard him as true family. He rejoiced in his happiness and worried about his sorrows. Watching the male protagonist from the original book grow up day by day, Qi Jing felt that this time, he definitely wouldn't repeat the mistakes of the past. When a young Sheng Tingwei told him that he wanted to be with his master forever, Qi Jing felt his world illuminated by a gentle light. It even made him forget the fear of facing death. He gradually returned to his senses, looking at the youthful, unblemished face before him. He couldn't understand why his apprentice's body would inexplicably cough up blood. He worried, can I really change his fate? Suddenly, the young man's hand reached out to his brow. His voice was gentle as water. He said to Qi Jing, "Master, don't worry. There are countless extraordinary people in the world. There must be a way to cure my coughing. I'm fine. Master, don't frown. You look less beautiful when you frown." Hearing this, Qi Jing's furrowed brow relaxed, and he smiled with relief. He thought to himself, I will definitely find a way to save both of us. The scene changes to the Yin Kingdom's Imperial Palace, thousands of miles away from the wasteland. At this moment, the Emperor of Een was also coughing. Beside him stood a man cloaked and hooded, his face unseen. Seeing the Emperor cough, the man quickly spoke, urging him to take care of his health and not overwork himself. The Emperor dismissed his concern, saying, "I'm fine. As long as that boy is alive to sustain my life, I won't die just yet." After a moment, he continued, "How are things progressing on your end?" The cloaked man's voice was cold and indifferent. His expression remained impassive as he replied, "Everything is ready. We only need a favorable wind. Your Majesty can summon the second prince back to the palace." "What? The foreign princess is lost." The Emperor of the Min Kingdom, Long Shou, was sitting on his throne, furious. He raged. Ing Heir went to the Een Kingdom to negotiate a marriage alliance, and now she's vanished without a trace. How am I supposed to explain this to the Een Kingdom? How could you lose a princess with over 100 people in your entourage? The Emperor's invitation to a feast, coupled with the minister's fearful responses, caused the atmosphere in the restaurant to freeze. No one dared to make a sound. The Emperor's face was ashen. At this moment, the silence was broken by a man's clear and bright voice. The man addressed the Emperor, "Your Majesty, the princess is young and immature. I believe she is merely being playful and wouldn't trifle with matters of state." This handsome man, with an extraordinary air about him, was Mo Lan, the guardian deity of the Min Kingdom. The Emperor paused for a moment after hearing these words. He sighed and said, "You, as her master, only know how to spoil her. She's been completely spoiled by you." He shook his head again and continued, deeply worried. "At this rate, I fear the Een Kingdom will use my niece's refusal to marry and make peace as a pretext for provocation, and will be even less willing to cease hostilities." Hearing this, the guardian deity Mo Lan stepped forward, cupped his hands, and addressed the Emperor, "Your Majesty, I request permission to personally search for the princess, to ease your Majesty's worries." Meanwhile, in the wasteland, spring had arrived. The animals were in their mating season. Qi Jing sat leisurely by the window. The scent of spring filled the air. However, he complained, "These past few days, I've been constantly woken up in the middle of the night by wild cats and dogs. I haven't had a good night's sleep in ages. Even my attendant, the fox demon Shui Yin, has been fooling around with female foxes every night, not coming home at all." Sheng Tingwei, the young man practicing calligraphy nearby, heard his master's muttering and asked with some confusion, "Master, what is mating?" Qi Jing thought to himself, "That's right, this kid is 15 years old this year. It's time for his love enlightenment." However, all these years, I've been the only person of the opposite sex around Sheng Tingwei. Although I've been diligently cultivating our master-disciple relationship, I forgot to teach him about men and women. You remember the novel, where the male protagonist, Sheng Tingwei, despite being a cruel and ruthless tyrant, was deeply devoted to Princess Qi Ying of the Min Kingdom. As the Min Kingdom's only treasured daughter, Qi Ying possessed a pure and innocent appearance and a lively and mischievous personality. She grew up pampered and adored. This is the typical setting for a female lead in a novel. And because of the plot, in order to end the vicious cycle of constant war between the Een Kingdom and the Min Kingdom, the female lead, Qi Ying, was sent to the Een Kingdom as a princess bride for a marriage alliance. I vaguely remember the original novel describing Sheng Tingwei like this. At the age of 15, he narrowly escaped death and was rescued by Qi Ying's marriage procession. The male and female leads thus developed feelings for each other, and the marriage alliance was successful. Sheng Tingwei, in order to make Qi Ying the most noble woman in the world, fought his way to become emperor, cleared all obstacles for her, and secured her position as empress. One of the reasons for Qi Jing's death in the original book was the result of Sheng Tingwei's protection of Qi Ying. Thinking of this, Qi Jing was somewhat lost in thought. He thought to himself that the novel's setting was truly absurd and unbearable to look at. He paused for a moment, but his thoughts were interrupted by the young man waving his hand. Sheng Tingwei, just a moment ago, was humbly asking his master about mating, but the next second he saw his master lost in thought and speechless. His curiosity was piqued. Qi Jing was brought back to reality by Sheng Tingwei calling out, "Master." He wanted an answer. Qi Jing held his apprentice's hand and explained, "Mating? Simply put, it's falling in love with someone and having children." The young man, hearing the new term, blurted out, "Falling in love? What does that mean?" Qi Jing continued to explain seriously. Falling in love is when words, glances, or even physical touch create feelings of happiness, joy, and ease. After speaking, Qi Jing felt a little thirsty and picked up his teacup for a sip. He continued to ask his little apprentice, "Do you understand now?" The young man pondered for a moment, seemingly understanding, and said, "I feel very happy and joyful every day when I see Master." He looked down at Qi Jing earnestly and said in a low voice, "So I'm in love with Master." Qi Jing, who was mid-sip, sputtered out his tea with a puffed sound. He choked a little and coughed a few times, then hurriedly explained, "It's not like that. Master-disciple affection and romantic love are very different." He put down his teacup and continued, "Anyway, I'm telling you, when you fall in love, you might become overwhelmed and lose control of your emotions. It's easy to be taken advantage of by those with ill intentions, so you must remain vigilant and not go astray." Qi Jing thought to himself that this was a good opportunity to give the male lead a warning, to prevent him from blindly spoiling his wife after meeting the female lead and causing a disaster. However, he didn't expect Sheng Tingwei to frown after hearing this. Qi Jing had painstakingly said so much, but he completely missed the point. After hearing his master's words, the young apprentice thought, "So that's why the mating animals are so noisy, because they are overwhelmed by their emotions." Qi Jing couldn't sleep. He clenched his fists, thinking he had to find a solution. Then he nodded, thinking, "I'll keep this in mind." The scene shifted to Qi Jing. Night had fallen. On this pleasant spring night, deep in the grass and trees, many cats and dogs were engaged in the important business of their animal lives. While they were engrossed in their affections, a young man with a sullen expression approached them. Sheng Tingwei spoke coldly, whispering to them, "It's you guys, disturbing my master's rest in the middle of the night." The young man held a sharp sword, menacingly extending it towards the small animals in the bushes. "This is just a warning. If you're still making noise tomorrow night, I'll catch and eat you. Did you hear me?" Tonight was still not a peaceful night. However, Master Qi Jing in the distant house could probably still hear the animals' cries. But these cries were different from the previous nights. These cries held a more mournful tone. After working for several hours, Sheng Tingwei clapped his hands. The area was now silent. No more discordant sounds could be heard. The young man nodded with satisfaction. He thought he had solved the problem, and now his master could get a good night's sleep. But he didn't expect this scene to frighten Shui Yin, the fox demon who had snuck out at night. He thought, "So scary. I wonder if Master knows how terrifying this second prince is." However, he didn't know that Qi Jing had already been sound asleep for a long time, completely unaware of the tragic events that had unfolded on the back mountain tonight. Behind the young man, rustling sounds suddenly came again. He thought, "These animals are endless." He turned and shouted, "Who's there?" After a while, a figure slowly emerged from behind a rock. It was a young girl. Seeing the stranger, Sheng Tingwei immediately pointed his sword at her and asked warily. The young girl was startled. Hearing such a harsh voice, she sat down on the ground in fright. She stammered, I'm sorry. Tears welling up in her eyes, and I'm lost. Please don't kill me." Sheng Tingwei, still pointing his sword at her, raised an eyebrow and looked at her thoughtfully. The young man pointed his sword at the girl, puzzled. He hadn't seen a stranger in 10 years. All these years, the barrier his master had set up in the wasteland had prevented any outsiders from stepping foot in here. How did this woman get in? Facing the cold, sharp blade, tears welled up in the girl's beautiful eyes. She weakly explained, "Oh, I didn't mean to intrude. I accidentally encountered wild dogs on the road and got lost. I was chased here." She had never been reprimanded so menacingly. Feeling wronged, she burst into tears. While crying, she said, "I'm sorry. Please don't kill me." Seeing this, Sheng Tingwei felt a little embarrassed. He hadn't even done anything to her, and she was already crying. He then sheathed his sword and replied indifferently, "I won't kill you. This isn't where you should be." He pointed with his finger. "Follow the road behind you, and you can leave this place." But the girl hesitated for a moment, then said to Sheng Tingwei with teary eyes, "I've sprained my ankle. I can't walk now. I can't even stand up." Sheng Tingwei felt troubled upon hearing this, but he suddenly remembered his master's teachings. His master had said that helping others is a virtue. We should try our best to help those in need within our capabilities. Thinking of this, Sheng Tingwei scratched his head, thinking, well, in that case, I'll be helpful for a bit. He then extended his hand to the girl. He calmly said, "Give me your hand. If you trust me, I can take you to where I live to rest for the night. We can wait for my master to wake up and take a look at your ankle." Hearing this, the girl extended her hand hand and softly said, "Thank you." Her heartbeat suddenly accelerated. Sheng Tingwei carried the girl away on his back. He thought, I need to take care of this trouble quickly. He turned and said, "Hold on tight. I'm not responsible if you fall off." However, the girl, clinging to Sheng Tingwei's back, blushed unconsciously. This was a feeling she had never experienced before. So broad. She felt warm and safe. She thought, I've never met anyone like this. After a dreamless night, Qi Jing woke up, yawning and stretching. Sunlight streamed in. Spring was in the air. He thought to himself how soundly he had slept, the best sleep he'd had in a long time. Suddenly, a bang startled him. Shui Yin, having shifted from fox form to human, burst through the door. She anxiously reported, "Master Qi Jing. Terrible news. The second prince brought a woman back last night." Qi Jing responded with, "Yes? That's nonsense." He immediately got up and went to the front hall to investigate. The scene changes. Sheng Tingwei and Qi Jing, master and apprentice, were sitting in the hall with the young woman Sheng Tingwei had found the previous night. Qi Jing's suspicious gaze darted between the young woman and his apprentice. The atmosphere was somewhat awkward. After observing for a moment, Qi Jing finally asked, "Are you the young woman my apprentice brought back last night?" The girl nodded and politely replied, "Yes, that's me." She thought to herself, so this is the master the young man spoke of. She looked so young. I thought she'd be some old, wise-looking man. Sheng Tingwei then asked, "Master, how did she get into the wasteland?" Qi Jing was also puzzled by this. He had set up a tight barrier around the wasteland. Ordinarily, no one should be able to enter. How did this girl get in? After a moment of thought, he replied, "I'm not sure yet. We'll discuss this later." He then turned to the girl and asked, "Young lady, I heard you were injured. Let me take a look." The girl touched the place she had sprained the night before and thought, after resting all night, it doesn't hurt anymore. But if I say that, they'll definitely send me away. But I haven't properly met the young man who saved me yet. She glanced at Sheng Tingwei, who was standing behind Qi Jing. Qi Jing leaned down and examined her injury for a moment. He said, "It's just a simple sprain, nothing serious. It'll be fine in a few days." Hearing this, the girl asked, "Can I stay here to recover and leave after I'm healed?" There was a hint of hope in her voice. Qi Jing smiled at the girl and replied, "Of course. If you don't mind, you can stay here until you're recovered. Then my apprentice will escort you home." The girl nodded gratefully to Qi Jing. He continued, "My surname is Qi. May I ask how you were addressed?" The girl's real name was Qi Ying, a princess of the Republic of China. However, she frowned, thinking that she had run away from her arranged marriage and didn't know the identity of the people before her. She couldn't reveal herself so easily, so she made up a false name. "My name is Qi Yu." Then she turned to Sheng Tingwei with an expectant look and asked with a smile, "May I ask this young master's name?" Sheng Tingwei replied calmly, "My surname is Sheng." Qi Yu then rose and bowed to Sheng Tingwei. She continued, "Young Master Sheng, I am eternally grateful for your life-saving grace. I will repay you someday." Sheng Tingwei simply took a sip of tea and said lightly, "My master always teaches me to do good deeds. If you want to thank someone, thank him." Qi Jing, hearing this, asked with some confusion, "Miss Qi, judging by your attire, you seem to come from a wealthy family. How did you end up alone in this remote wasteland?" Qi Yu slowly replied, "To be honest with you, I ran away from an arranged marriage." She paused for a moment, then continued to explain, "My father is a merchant, but he inadvertently offended a local official and has been repeatedly suppressed. So he wanted to marry me off to the official's son to seek reconciliation. But I really didn't want to marry someone I never met, so I ran away during the journey to the wedding. By chance, young Master Sheng rescued me." Qi Yu thought to herself, an international marriage is a serious matter. I can only make up a story to gain their sympathy so I can stay here for a while. After hearing this, Qi Jing felt indignant. He thought, how outrageous. How could there be such a father who sells his daughter for personal gain? He patted her shoulder and comforted her, "Don't worry, Miss Qi. Stay here with me in peace. When you want to leave, I'll send you on your way." Hearing this, Qi Yu felt relieved. She said gratefully to Qi Jing, "Thank you, Master Qi." Meanwhile, in the distant Imperial palace of the Yin Kingdom, a flying gecko was given a new mission. Inside the Emperor's hall, a shadowy figure, with hands clasped, reported, "Your Majesty, a flying gecko has delivered a message to the wasteland, summoning the second prince back to the palace for the marriage alliance." The Emperor of Yin, his face expressionless, said in a cold voice, "Let us see then. Let us see this good son of mine. He's grown quite a bit in these 10 years. Qi Jing and Sheng Tingwei sat with the fox demon Shui Yin, at their usual square table in the dining hall. Another girl now joined them. After being rescued by Sheng Tingwei, Xiying had rested well through the night. It was now time for breakfast. However, resources were scarce in the wasteland. Only Qi Jing and his apprentice, accompanied by the fox demon Shui Yin, whom they depended on, were present. Qi Jing had made some steamed buns. Acting the part of a kind old woman, he addressed the young girl he was meeting for the first time, politely saying, "Please don't mind if they're not perfect." The quick-witted girl replied with a smile, "Master, you jest. I'm not picky. Besides, with your medical skills, I'm sure your cooking won't be bad either." Hearing this, Shui Yin couldn't help but silently scoff. What direct connection is there between medical skills and cooking? Forcing a smile, she turned to Xiying and asked, "Miss, do you mind if I conduct a spot check?" Xiying, puzzled, asked, "What's a spot check?" "It sounds interesting." Shui Yin explained, "It's like a test. It's how a master determines if their apprentice has been studying diligently. And if they fail the spot check, there's no dessert." Qi Jing then turned to Sheng Tingwei. "All right then, listen to the question." He cleared his throat and, without pausing, recited the question. The question was, assuming a family of 3 uses 3 gene of oil per month for cooking and 2 gene each of sugar, salt, and soy sauce, in the long run, can their bodies remain healthy? Xing listened in disbelief. Can this even be calculated? Qi Jing nodded confidently. After all, this was the apprentice he had meticulously taught for 10 years. Upon hearing the question, Sheng Tingwei began to answer without hesitation. Quickly and skillfully using his abacus, he said they use a total of about 9 gene of seasonings per month for cooking. This means each person consumes about 50 grams per day, which is double the recommended intake. Finishing his calculations, the young man confidently replied, "The answer is their bodies cannot remain healthy." Qi Jing gave him a thumbs up. "Correct." Sheng Tingwei smiled modestly. "Master, today's question wasn't difficult. Please make it harder next time." Qi Jing nodded and said, all right, thinking to himself, "I'll definitely knock this kid down a peg next time." Xiying, who had witnessed the whole scene, was amazed. Easy? Even I, well-versed in literature from the palace, couldn't answer such a tricky question. Admiration welled up in her heart. As expected of Sheng Tingwei. Not only is he helpful, but he's also incredibly talented. A girl who couldn't swim was struggling in the water, crying for help. However, the young man on the shore stood motionless. Watching the girl grow weaker, he said indifferently, "This is all your own fault." The girl choked on water, unable to breathe. Her body stiffened as she sank towards the bottom of the pond. Am I going to die like this? She didn't want to die. She prayed for someone to save her. Her eyes gradually lost their light. As her consciousness faded, she heard a splash. She saw a figure break the water's surface and approach her. This story actually begins an hour earlier. Xiying, accustomed to the delicacies of the palace, took a bite of Qi Jing's handmade bun and found it half-cooked and difficult to swallow. She glanced at Sheng Tingwei. Does he eat this kind of food every day? But he doesn't seem to find it unappetizing. Qi Jing noticed Xiying's troubled expression and asked, "What's wrong, Miss Xiying? Is the bun not to your liking?" She quickly waved her hand and, "Oh, it's not that. I'm just a little homesick." Inwardly, she dared not voice the second half of her thought. "I miss the delicious food of the palace." Qi Jing gently reached out and said softly, "If you miss home, I can have someone escort you back at any time." "No, I don't want to go back yet." Xiying thought of her father's anger. If she returned now, she would surely be forced to go to the Yin Kingdom for another marriage alliance, marrying a stranger. Xiying blinked, thinking, if she could choose someone, she would marry Sheng Tingwei. That night, if it hadn't been for this young man's timely rescue, she would have been left alone in the wilderness and might have lost her life. The girl recalled Sheng Tingwei's broad back and warm body. Fantastical images filled her mind, and a blush crept onto her face. If things could develop like that, it would be wonderful. After Qi Jing, his apprentice, and Shui Yin finished their meal, they left. Princess Xiying snuck off to the pond. Still unable to finish her bun, she decided to secretly feed it to the fish. She sighed. "It'll be terrible if I'm discovered." And, as if summoned by her fear, Sheng Tingwei's voice suddenly came from behind her. "What are you doing? Are you feeding my master's hard-earned buns to the fish?" Xiying hid the bun behind her back, about to deny it, but the boy forcefully pulled his hand away. The girl struggled, but unexpectedly stumbled. With a splash, she fell into the water before she could react. She struggled in the water, constantly calling for help from the people on the shore. Sheng Tingwei watched her silently, at a loss for what to do. A woman rescued the drowning girl. Fortunately, she arrived in time. The girl only choked on a few mouthfuls of water and was otherwise unharmed. Qi Jing, calm and composed, quickly instructed Shui Yin to take her to freshen up and rest to avoid catching a cold. The girl glanced at the silent Sheng Tingwei, a thoughtful look in her eyes. After they left, Qi Jing turned to Sheng Tingwei, his expression serious. "Tingwei," he said, "come with me to the study." In the study, Qi Jing's anger was evident. He angrily exclaimed, "Do you know?" Sheng Tingwei calmly replied, "This disciple doesn't understand. What transgression have I committed?" Qi Jing furrowed his brow and retorted, "You pushed that young lady into the lake. If I hadn't happened to pass by, the consequences would have been unthinkable." Witnessing this scene today, Qi Jing felt a sense of disappointment. He hadn't expected that after 10 years of careful cultivation, hoping he would shed his cruel and unforgiving persona and become a true gentleman, he would actually lay hands on a vulnerable woman. Hearing this, Sheng Tingwei retorted indignantly, "I didn't push her. She didn't want to hand over the bun and fell in herself." "What bun?" Qi Jing asked, bewildered. Sheng Tingwei paused for a moment, then replied, seemingly embarrassed, "The bun master made this morning. She took it but wouldn't admit it. She clearly fell in the water on purpose to cover up her wrongdoing." Hearing this, Qi Jing fell silent. "Yes, that's so." Seeing Sheng Tingwei's unwavering gaze, he continued, "Master, I don't like this girl. She's secretive, and the way she looks at me is strange. Let's send her back." After hearing Sheng Tingwei's explanation, Qi Jing breathed a sigh of relief. He said cheerfully, "We took her in after you rescued her. Wouldn't it be breaking our word to send her back now?" Sheng Tingwei felt a headache coming on. "Does this mean we have to keep her here forever if she doesn't leave?" Qi Jing shook his head. "That I have a plan. I've already lifted the boundary around the wasteland. As long as her family comes looking for her, they'll find her soon." Hearing this, Sheng Tingwei breathed a sigh of relief. As expected of master. He forced a smile. "All who come are guests. You mustn't forget my usual teachings. Don't make things difficult for a young girl." Just as he finished speaking, Shui Yin rushed in from outside. "The young lady's family is here to get her." Speak of the devil. Qi Ying, having just changed into fresh clothes after falling into the water, saw her long-awaited Mo lawn and immediately ran into her master's arms, acting coquettishly. The three of them, master and disciples, came from afar and greeted them cheerfully. "Young Lady Qi, we heard your family is here for you." Qi Ying nodded and introduced them. "Master, this is my master." The gentleman beside him is Sheng Tingwei. "My apologies. Master Mo Lan's disciple is unruly and has caused trouble for everyone." Qi Jing's heart skipped a beat upon hearing the name Mo Lan. Was this the Mo Lan he was thinking of? The Mo Lan from the original book, the guardian deity and military strategist of men, who commanded the army and was the female lead's master. Why was he here? Qi Jing glanced at the master and disciple duo again. Could this girl before him be the female protagonist? Qi Ying, no longer hiding her identity, explained, "I apologize. I hid my identity before because I was afraid of frightening you. I am actually Qi Ying, the Princess Changle of Men." Oh dear. Qi Jing couldn't believe he had saved the female protagonist who would eventually cause his demise. Seeing his silence, Qi Ying asked, "Master, are you angry with me? I didn't mean to deceive you." Hearing her explanation, Qi Jing smiled calmly. "I believe, Princess, you had your reasons. But please forgive me if I have been a poor host." Qi Ying quickly shook her head. "I wouldn't blame you. Both you and young Master Sheng have saved my life." Hearing this, Qi Jing began to ponder again. After all, in the 10 years he'd been in this world, following the plot, he had gradually figured out some of its rules. Although he could change some of the plot points, he couldn't stop the major events from happening. Just like how he had initially tried to avoid meeting the male lead. The male lead still appeared before him at the age of 5, as per the original storyline. This time was the same. He still couldn't prevent the meeting of the male and female protagonists. Perhaps only when he fully understood the rules of this world would he have a chance to return to the real world. However, the crucial point now is that the female lead's coronation is still 5 years away. He remembered that in the original book, Qi Jing had repeatedly instigated Sun Cheng to abolish the empress. The two of them later became bitter enemies. So if Qi Jing wanted to survive, he had to prove within this period that he posed no threat to the future empress. Thinking of this, Qi Jing considered making other plans for the upcoming plot. Now that the matter had come to a close, Lan slowly began to speak. "Princess, it's getting late. We should go back." Qi Jing thought it would be a good opportunity to gain some favor. So he smiled and said, "The terrain in the wasteland is complex. I'll have my attendants escort you too." Qi Ying nodded sweetly upon hearing this. Lan also replied amicably, "For your kindness today, I will certainly report it to His Majesty upon my return, and rewards will be given accordingly." Having said this, he glanced back at Qi Ying. "Princess, don't worry." However, the little princess seemed hesitant. Her eyes flickered, looking at the young man standing quietly behind Qi Jing. Then, biting her lip, Qi Ying made a bold decision. Taking off the jade pendant from her waist, she called out softly, "Holy Son, I hope you will accept this jade pendant. I was wrong by the lake earlier. This jade is offered as an apology." She hadn't expected Sheng Tingwei to calmly refuse, but that's in the past. You needn't worry about it. However, Lan, watching from the side, was startled. Inger was actually giving away her mother's relic. He wondered what had happened during the time he was away from the young man. Qi Ying became a little anxious at being refused. "Even so, I still hope Holy Son will accept it." Her heart raced. The little princess silently prayed, "Please, don't refuse me this time." However, upon hearing this, Sheng Tingwei again expressionlessly uttered two words, "Why?" "This jade pendant is my mother's memento. She told me to give it to someone I care for." Having said this, Qi Ying took a deep breath, clenching her small hands. "Holy Son, I admire you." After saying this, the little princess released a breath. However, the two masters standing nearby were utterly shocked. How could a dignified princess confess to a commoner? Lan quickly spoke. "Inger, what nonsense are you talking about?" Qi Jing was also puzzled. The original plot clearly had the female lead falling in love at first sight with the male lead when he was nearly frozen to death. How had the plot reversed now? Lan pulled on Qi Ying, urging her not to be impulsive. But the little princess wouldn't listen to a word. "Master, I know exactly what I'm doing. I only like Holy Son. I don't want a political marriage. I don't want to marry someone else." She was struggling against Lan's grip on her hand. "That I want to hear Holy Son's answer." "Master, let me go." As the two tugged back and forth, Sheng Tingwei spoke. "I'm sorry. I cannot reciprocate your feelings, princess." "What?" Qi Ying hadn't expected him to refuse so bluntly. Sheng Tingwei's gaze drifted. "Because I already have someone I care for." Qi Jing was even more confused upon hearing this. His little apprentice hadn't left the wasteland for 10 years. Where would he have found someone he cared for? Qi Ying, hearing this, wanted further confirmation. She was somewhat disheartened. "Then may I ask who Holy Son admires?" Sheng Tingwei hesitated for a moment, his eyes turning towards Qi Jing. A faint blush crept onto his handsome face. His ears seemed to be burning slightly. "The person I like is Master." The young man he had personally raised for 10 years was actually in love. Moreover, the object of his affection was himself. Hearing that Sheng Tingwei liked Master Qi Ying was utterly shocked. Qi Jing was also completely taken aback. Sheng Tingwei, the doting husband from the original book, was actually rejecting his female lead at this point and confessing his feelings for his master. This was absurd. He had just wanted to gain some favor with Qi Ying, and now he had become her rival in love. How was he supposed to salvage this plot? Hearing this, Lan sighed. "Princess, since Holy Son already has someone he cares for, you mustn't force the issue. Let this matter end here." Qi Ying's eyes darkened with sadness. She couldn't believe that Holy Son would like her master. If it were anyone else, she might have still had a chance to compete. But Master Qi was her lifesaver. She couldn't steal someone's love. The little princess pondered for a moment, seemingly making up her mind. She clenched her fists, her eyes glistening with tears, looking at Qi Jing and his apprentice. Her voice held a hint of grievance. "I understand. Then I wish you happiness together." With that, she turned to leave. Lan looked at this strange scene with some worry. "I apologize for the trouble of my disciple, and I have caused you with our stealthy visit, Qi Jing." Qi Jing smiled awkwardly at Lan's words. He instructed Shui Yin to see them off. After Shui Yin and Lan left, only he and Sheng Tingwei remained. The atmosphere between them became somewhat delicate. After a moment of silence, neither of them spoke. Qi Jing felt very nervous. After all, Before transmigrating into this book, he had been single for over 20 years and had never been confessed to. Moreover, in modern times, Sheng Tingwei would probably call him Annie. How could he possibly reciprocate? After a long while, the young man finally called out, "Master." He explained somewhat sheepishly, "I was forced by the circumstances just now. You know, I don't like the princess. I just wanted to find an excuse to get rid of her. I hope I didn't frighten you." Qi Jing replied, "So, you're saying that your confession to me just now was a joke?" Sheng Tingwei nodded, his expression seemingly tinged with sadness. He continued, "Yes, master. You said that I should focus on my studies so that I can become emperor in the future and break your contract, giving you back your freedom." Hearing this, Qi Jing breathed a sigh of relief, feeling quite gratified. It turned out he had just been used as a shield. However, Sheng Tingwei didn't stop there. He moved closer to Qi Jing, raising an eyebrow with a hint of scrutiny. "But master, you were so surprised just now, as if you were really afraid I would fall in love with you." Qi Jing felt a pang of guilt at his words and quickly explained, "How is that possible? I've lived for hundreds of years and am immune to such things. No matter who it is, loving me will have no result." Seeing Qi Jing like this, Sheng Tingwei stared blankly for a moment before continuing, "Master is right. You definitely wouldn't fall for a mere mortal." Qi Jing nodded firmly in agreement. "Exactly. I'm not interested in men. Having you as my disciple is enough." After all, changing his deadly fate was his top priority. He had no time for romance. He didn't expect Sheng Tingwei to only hear the latter half of the sentence. "Master, you said it yourself. I can be your only disciple. You can't get entangled with other men." Hearing Sheng Tingwei's words, Qi Jing felt a strange sensation. His words sounded odd, but upon closer inspection, they didn't seem wrong. So, Qi Jing smiled and nodded, "Don't worry. My only goal in this life is to help you become emperor, a wise and brilliant ruler." The rejected princess sat in the departing carriage, her heart filled with frustration. Her sadness was written all over her face. The princess's attendant, Mo Lan, took out her favorite pastry, hoping to make her smile. But she remained silent. Earlier, because Qi Ying had snuck out of the palace, Mo Lan had been extremely worried and had searched tirelessly for a long time, finally finding her in the wasteland at the edge of the Min Kingdom. However, upon meeting again, the princess had unexpectedly fallen in love with a young man. Now, even when Mo Lan personally offered her favorite sweet osmanthus cake, Qi Ying had no appetite. She turned her head away, looking preoccupied. It was clear she was still thinking about being rejected by the young man. Seeing this, Mo Lan felt a pang of sadness. "Ying, are you still thinking about that Sheng boy? He's just a commoner. He's not worthy of you." Unexpectedly, Qi Ying became angry at his words and snapped at her attendant. "Why do you all have to talk about status? Just because the Yin prince is of noble birth, do I have to marry him and go off to a political marriage? Because Sheng Tingwei is just a commoner, am I not even allowed to like him?" Mo Lan was momentarily speechless, stunned by her sharp words. Qi Ying turned her head away. She suddenly recalled some unpleasant memories. "Attendant, even without Sheng Gongzi, I wouldn't agree to the political marriage. I still remember when mother married father. But father's promise of one lifetime, one couple turned out to be nothing but a joke. I don't want to end up like mother, depressed and dying in the deep palace." Qi Ying lowered her eyes, a tear tracing a path down her cheek. Her voice was tinged with sorrow. "Attendant, I just want a simple and happy life." Hearing the princess's heartfelt outpouring, Mo Lan was silent for a moment before slowly saying, "Ying, there's something His Majesty didn't want me to tell you, but I can't bear to see you so heartbroken. There's an unspoken rule within the Yin royal family. Princes must wait until they are 18 and granted a title before they can marry. Currently, among the 4 Yin princes, the youngest is only 12. Moreover, this marriage proposal from the He Kingdom didn't specify which prince. So after you arrive in Yin, you still have 6 years. During this time, we can change many things." Mo Lan held Qi Ying's hand, reassuring her. "The He Kingdom's proposal is just a delaying tactic. Trust me, as long as I'm here, I will protect you. I won't let you become a tool for political gain forced upon someone else." The young princess hugged the attendant who had meticulously cared for her for 10 years. He had made a pact with his master. Once he had grown his wings and inherited the throne, he would be free from restrictions and could break the contract that bound him to guard the Yaoqi mirror for 100 years. However, what Qi Jing didn't know was the young man's deceitful heart only desired to keep him forever by his side. At this moment, Qi Jing was sitting in his room drinking tea. A letter arrived from Shui Yin, reporting on the upheaval in the palace. Qi Jing's expression remained indifferent upon hearing this. He didn't need to read it to know what it contained. According to the plot of the book, after 10 years, the male protagonist should be called back to participate in the marriage ceremony. Although the current plot progression was somewhat different. The meeting between the male and female protagonists had already occurred earlier, but their future marriage was a foregone conclusion. Thinking of this, Qi Jing softly said, "Bring Tinger here." A moment later, Sheng Tingwei arrived before him. "Master, did you need me?" Qi Jing looked at the young woman he had raised with his own hands, a feeling of melancholy rising in his heart. The still underage youth had already blossomed into an exceptionally handsome individual. It was a pity that this meticulously carved piece of jade would eventually have to be given away. Qi incite. Seeing this, Sheng Tingwei asked, puzzled, "Master, has something happened?" Qi Jing looked at him and replied seriously, "A fledgling must eventually leave the nest. Now is the time for you to become independent." Sheng Tingwei, seeing his master acting strangely, continued to ask, "Master, what's wrong? If you want me to study hard, I'll go right away. Don't scare me." Qi Jing lowered his eyes to "Oh, you resent me for always forcing you to study." Hearing this, Sheng Tingwei quickly shook her head. "I know Master's doing this for my own good. You've always protected me so carefully. When I grow up and become strong, I'll protect you in return." Hearing these words, Qi Jing finally understood the feeling of a parent worrying about their child traveling far from home. He reached out and took Sheng Tingwei's hand. "Tinger, your father has summoned you back to the palace." Hearing this, Sheng Tingwei couldn't believe it. "Master, you must be joking with me, right?" Qi Jing continued, "The marriage alliance between the two countries is of vital importance. I'm not lying to you. Your Majesty sent a message by carrier pigeon. Princess Chang Lu will arrive in the Yin Kingdom shortly to choose a husband. This is your father's handwritten letter. He has already sent someone to pick you up." Princess Chang Lu. Qiying? Her again. Sheng Tingwei felt a surge of resentment. "Master, I don't want to go. I don't want to marry someone else." However, Qi Jing couldn't do anything about this. He had no power to interfere with the emperor's decision. Sheng Tingwei, in a fit of anger, threw the letter back and stood up, shouting, "I don't want to marry anyone else. I only want to be with Master." With that, she turned and left. Qi Jing watched her departing figure, lamenting that sometimes fate was just like this. Resistance was futile. Let her be alone for a while. Devastated by the news that she could no longer be with her master, the disciple ran alone to the Lake of Illusions. She remembered her master telling her, when she was young, that there was a treasure hidden in the lake that could grant wishes. She wanted to obtain the treasure and never leave her master. Sheng Tingwei slowly walked into the lake. An unfamiliar voice came from the center of the lake. "Who dares trespass in Wu's territory?" A dark shadow appeared before her. Wu was the Lord of Illusions. "Summoned by your anguish, I, Wu, have appeared, sensing your intense desire. Little one, what is your wish?" Sheng Tingwei replied loudly, "I want to be with my master forever." Meanwhile, Qi Jing, hearing from Shui Yin that Sheng Tingwei had run towards the Lake of Illusions, was extremely anxious. A sense of foreboding rose in his heart. He knew that the Lake of Illusions was formed from accumulated resentment. The male protagonist in the original book had also accidentally fallen into the lake and, under the influence of the Lord of Illusions, exchanged his most precious possession for immense power. Thinking of this, Qi Jing's eyes darkened. "Tinger, please don't do anything foolish." However, the transaction at the Lake of Illusions had already begun. Sheng Tingwei stood before the Lord of Illusions and made her offer. "You can take the most precious thing I possess, but you must guarantee that Master will always be with me." The Lord of Illusions, however, did not agree. "That I apologize. I do not possess such power. I can only send you to the future to glimpse the eventual outcome you seek. As for changing fate, that depends entirely on your own efforts after learning the future." Sheng Tingwei pondered for a moment. moment, hesitating. Was it worth it to see her and her master's ending? Fine, I agree to your terms. As soon as she finished speaking, black energy began to swirl around her, gradually enveloping her. The transaction was complete. Wu Jiang lets you glimpse the future. In the realm of the future, Shi Jing is being led away with his hands bound. Sheng Tingwei sees his master being tortured beyond recognition and cries out in alarm. But in this illusion, as a bystander, he can only watch helplessly. A terrifyingly gloomy emperor stands high above Qi Jing, looking down with disgust as he grabs Qi Jing's hair roughly. However, the Lord of Illusions tells him that this is Sheng Tingwei himself in the future. Facing Qi Jing, who is kneeling on the ground and begging for mercy, the man sneers. He orders the servants to scratch Qi Jing's face, an act of pure malice. He then demands they cut off his genitals, leaving him to live a life worse than death. The helpless Qi Jing screams in agony. The young Sheng Tingwei watches the scene unfold, terrified. He mutters to himself, impossible. Something must be wrong. This can't be masters in my future. He stands frozen, unable to accept what he's seen. Meanwhile, in the Lake of Illusions, the transaction has been completed. Now is the time to fulfill the promise. Little ghost, Wu Jiang will take the most precious thing from you. The voice fades away, and the transaction is concluded. When Qi Jing sees Sheng Tingwei again, he's collapsed by the lake, unconscious as if he drowned. He's breathing, but Qi Jing can't wake him. It's an emergency, and Qi Jing must act quickly. In this world, only he knows the method of artificial respiration. He takes a deep breath and presses his lips to Sheng Tingwei's. You mustn't die. The disciple, in his attempt to glimpse the future with his master, has had his most precious possession taken by the fox demon. When his master rushes to his side and revives him, he is met with an indifferent and emotionless face. Meeting Sheng Tingwei's cold eyes, Qi Jing suddenly has a bad feeling. For 10 years, he has meticulously cared for Sheng Tingwei, striving to change the fate written in the book. He knows Sheng Tingwei's every joy, anger, sorrow, and happiness. This sudden aloofness must have a reason. With this thought, he angrily summons the fox demon and demands to know what happened. He learns that the most precious thing the fox demon took was Sheng Tingwei's 10 years of affection for his master. Qi Jing is heartbroken and devastated. This means that all his painstaking efforts, all the care he poured into cultivating their bond, are gone. Their relationship has regressed back to square one. However, the story must go on. The next day, the entourage arrives at the palace to escort Sheng Tingwei back, as expected. Yet, this time, there's a subtle difference. Your Majesty, both Qi Jing and Sheng Tingwei will return to the palace. This deviates from the original story. The Emperor of Yin had always kept Qi Jing at a distance, believing his fate to be too grand. He didn't summon him back to the palace until the protagonist turned 19 and was appointed crown prince. Qi Jing asks in confusion, Your Majesty, why are we both summoned? The official replies, the kingdoms of Yin and Ming are forming a marriage alliance. However, as the princes are not yet of age, the wedding is postponed. Princess Chong Lu of Ming will visit Yin, accompanied by her guardian demon, Mo Wan. Hearing this, Qi Jing understands. The emperor must have ulterior motives for summoning him alongside Ming's guardian demon. He glances at Sheng Tingwei's back. Perhaps this is for the best. Now that their 10 years of master-disciple bond have vanished, and his previous efforts are undone, this journey back to the palace presents an opportunity to rebuild their relationship. At this moment, the eunuch announces, Your Highness, Second Prince, and Master Qi, please board the carriage. We are departing. The wheels of fate begin to turn. To rekindle their bond, Qi Jing makes considerable efforts during the journey back to the palace. He attentively serves Sheng Tingwei tea, offers massages, and even offers to bathe him. But all of these gestures are met with his disciple's cold rejection. Faced with repeated failures, Qi Jing suddenly remembers how Tingwei always praised his cooking. So, to win him over, Qi Jing prepares the sesame cakes his disciple used to love. Sheng Tingwei takes a cake and bites into it. Qi Jing watches expectantly, awaiting his response. However, Shang Tingwei only takes one bite before wiping his mouth and saying, "Don't make these again. Actually, some are quite bland, master. That's why. But you used to love the things I made." Hearing this, Shang Tingwei said indifferently, "That was just out of politeness, master. Before, I didn't want to hurt your confidence, so I lied. Actually, this stuff probably wouldn't even be good enough for pigs." Qi Jing hadn't expected him to have such a strong opinion about the sesame cake. Could it be that after the deal with the fox demon, not only had his temperament completely changed, but his taste had also changed? Before Qi Jing could speak, Shang Tingwei's cold words continued. "Master, you're already old. You should learn to distinguish what's just polite talk." Qi Jing felt like he'd been hit with 10,000 points of damage. Was his once caring apprentice truly gone forever? Before he could recover from his sadness, the carriage they were riding in suddenly lurched. Qi Jing lost his balance and was about to fall. Shang Tingwei, with his quick reflexes, immediately reached out and caught him. Qi Jing ended up sprawled on top of his apprentice. The atmosphere between them immediately became awkward. They froze for a moment before quickly separating with a swoosh. Qi Jing coughed a few times to change the subject. "That what's going on outside?" The guard riding ahead of them came to report, "Master, someone is stopping the carriage and asking for help." Hearing this, Qi Jing got out of the carriage to investigate. A villager, looking panicked, knelt down and cried, "Help! My lord, please save us. There are dead people coming back to life in our village. They bite anyone they see." Shang Tingwei, upon hearing this, said, "The dead cannot come back to life. This is utter nonsense." Seeing his disbelief, the villager hurriedly pulled up his sleeve to explain, "Every word I say is true. Look, this is the wound where I was just bitten." Qi Jing was stunned. How had the setting suddenly turned into a zombie apocalypse? Suddenly, with a groan, the villager's expression changed drastically. His eyes turned crimson, bluish-green spots appeared on his body, and he cried out, "Help! I'm in so much pain." Qi Jing exclaimed in alarm and quickly backed away. The man, now transformed into a zombie, had completely lost his mind and lunged towards Qi Jing, wailing. In the chaos, as the zombie's claws were about to strike him, Qi Jing closed his eyes but didn't feel any pain. "Master, be careful." Shang Tingwei shielded him and shouted to a nearby guard, "Quickly, seize him." He then looked down at Qi Jing and asked urgently, "Master, are you all right?" Hearing the concern in Shang Tingwei's voice, Qi Jing was momentarily lost in thought. Although Shang Tingwei had been acting indifferent towards him lately, in critical moments, he would still unhesitatingly step forward to protect him. Qi Jing suddenly recalled Shang Tingwei's earnest vow as a child to protect him. Looking at the young man, now shielding him, Qi Jing's heart pounded for some reason. Just then, Shang Tingwei frowned. He felt a sharp pain in his back, and his face paled. Seeing this, Qi Jing's heart sank. "Tinga, you've been scratched. Quickly take off your clothes and let me see your wound." Tinga had been injured by a zombie, and Qi Jing was extremely worried. Shang Tingwei hesitated. Seeing his inaction, Qi Jing continued, "Being bitten by a zombie, if not treated in time, you might become like that man just now." Shang Tingwei turned his head away, a faint blush appearing on his face. He softly replied, "Men and women shouldn't touch each other." However, saving his life was paramount. Qi Jing didn't bother arguing with him and reached out to pull open his clothes. 3 bright red scratch marks were Dungning Deet imprinted on the man's back. Seeing this, Qi Jing felt even more distressed for Shang Tingwei. Shang Tingwei turned his head slightly and said, "It's okay. It doesn't hurt." Qi Jing's eyes darkened. He extended his hand, emitting a pale, golden demonic power, and slowly moved it towards the man's back. He suddenly felt grateful that he was a guardian demon, able to save Shang Tingwei at this moment. However, when he looked up, he found himself staring at the man's broad, strong back, and his thoughts began to wander. Unknowingly, his apprentice had truly grown into a mature man. Since the incident at the Lake of Illusions, Qi Jing had been experiencing strange things. He often found himself unable to maintain his composure in front of him. Feeling no movement behind him for a while, Shang Tingwei urged, "Master, are you done yet?" Qi Jing's body stiffened. He immediately collected his thoughts and replied, almost done. He quickened his movements, and after a moment, the gruesome wounds slowly disappeared. Sheng Tingwei put his clothes back on and thanked Qi Jing. Qi Jing thought for a moment and said, "Tinger, I am a guardian demon. Ordinary injuries can't hurt me. Don't be so foolish as to rush in front of me like that again." Hearing this, Sheng Tingwei thought back to what had just happened. He himself didn't quite understand why he'd suddenly lunged forward. After a moment of silence, he replied to his master, "Just now, I don't know why, but when I saw you were in danger, my mind went blank and my body lunged forward uncontrollably." Qi Jing suddenly understood something. After all, they had spent 10 years together. Even if the fox demon had taken away Sheng Tingwei's feelings for him from those 10 years, his body still remembered everything. Thinking of this, Qi Jing gently took Sheng Tingwei's hand. "Thank you, Ting, but your safety is equally important. Remember not to be so reckless next time. I'll also be worried." Hearing this, Sheng Tingwei turned his head and softly replied, "I know." But at this moment, the flush on his face seemed to deepen. Afterwards, the two finished their treatment and went outside to deal with the matter at hand, facing the villagers who had suddenly become zombies. Qi Jing knew that if this matter wasn't resolved, the consequences would be unimaginable. Master and disciple decided to take the mutated villagers to the local magistrate's office to find out the cause and effect. Meanwhile, in the Iran pavilion, the Emperor of Yin questioned the pavilion master. "I made a pact with you for the elixir of immortality, but you failed to safeguard those things, leading to this corpse disaster and shaking the foundation of the nation. Tell me, how should I deal with you?" Hearing this, the Iran pavilion master bowed and replied, "This incident was sudden. On the night of the full moon, someone sabotaged my formation, leading to this disaster. Someone must have leaked the information. In my opinion, the second prince has just returned to the palace, and his route passes through the area of the corpse transformation. Having him guard the demon pool will surely quell this disturbance." Hearing this, the emperor's anger subsided somewhat. "This incident will not be tolerated again. Your Majesty's words are my command. I will assist the second prince in quelling this corpse incident and appease the people." The emperor's expression remained grim after he finished speaking. His second prince had followed that demoness for 10 years. Now was the time to test whether he had the potential to become his heir. To investigate the incident of the villagers dying and returning to life as zombies, the master and disciple arrived at the local magistrate's office. The magistrate reported this matter first occurred 3 days ago. A villager reported that a fellow villager had bitten his child to death. However, just as they were preparing to examine the body, the dead child suddenly revived and attacked anyone in sight, causing many injuries. The corpse disaster spiraled out of control from that point. Hearing this, Qi Jing immediately asked the magistrate to take them to see the child who had mutated. At this time, the child was locked in a dungeon, bound with iron chains. As they approached, they could smell a strong stench of decay. Sheng Tingwei's gaze lingered on the child who had become a zombie. "What's that on his neck?" Qi Jing asked. "It looks like a rune. But how could such a thing suddenly appear on a child?" He moved closer, reaching out a hand to pull open the zombie's clothes and investigate. Sensing his approach, the zombie suddenly opened its eyes and lunged at Qi Jing, attempting to bite him. Fortunately, his disciple behind him reacted quickly and pulled him back. Enraged, the zombie's face contorted as it roared in fury. Qi Jing realized he had been too careless. Seeing this, Sheng Tingwei asked in a low voice, "Master, are you all right?" Meeting his disciple's concerned gaze, Qi Jing smiled reassuringly. "I'm fine. Thank you, Ting." Sheng Tingwei continued to look at the struggling zombie. "It's the talisman that's the problem," he said. Qi Jing pondered for a moment. He hadn't encountered this plot point in the original book in his past life. For a moment, he was completely clueless. Just then, a guard came running in a panic. "Something's happened. This zombie is the village chief's son." Upon learning that the child had come back to life, the Wang family has brought a group of people and are demanding his release. The Wang family has only this one heir in 9 generations, and they are being very aggressive. Hearing this, the master and disciple exchanged glances. Sheng Tingwei nodded, understanding Qi Jing's intention that "let's go out and take a look." As soon as they opened the door, a noisy crowd of villagers villagers surrounded them, shouting, "Corrupt officials! Release my son!" Shang Tingwei's demeanor shifted as he explained, "Locking up that child is for your own safety." However, seeing such a young person speaking, the villagers became even more dissatisfied. At this point, the magistrate spoke up, "This is the second prince. Show some respect." Hearing this, the villagers stopped arguing. Shang Tingwei, aware of his responsibilities as a prince, frowned and remained silent. Qi Jing took his hand in comfort. After a moment of silence, he raised his hand and swore an oath, "I vow to bring you justice within 10 days. But before that, everyone must remain calm." Despite his youthful voice, the young prince's words carried an air of imperial authority. Upon hearing this, the villagers ceased their murmuring and dispersed. However, this scene was witnessed by a woman in the distance. This woman, the magistrate's daughter, was envious. A dignified prince had unexpectedly arrived in this remote village. Seeing the second prince, she formed a plan. This was a golden opportunity she couldn't miss. Her chance to rise to prominence had arrived. The magistrate and her daughter, harboring ulterior motives, deliberately appeared before the second prince, feigning subservience to gain his favor. Seeing the second prince's master nearby, the scheming woman exclaimed with feigned surprise, "Oh my, isn't that the rumored seductress, the enchantress who bewitched the emperor?" Her words were incredibly rude for a first meeting. Qi Jing, upon hearing this, was truly taken aback. Shang Tingwei stepped forward and said, "Rumors should be stopped at their source. Instead of gossiping, you should read more books." The magistrate's daughter, Yang Luer, was embarrassed. Wasn't he calling her stupid? Her mother stepped in to smooth things over, inviting the master and disciple inside to rest. After they left, Shang Tingwei couldn't help but ask Master Qi Jing, "Weren't you angry when she said those things about you?" Qi Jing replied calmly, "I'm used to it. You used to call me a seductress when you were little. If I took everyone's words to heart, I would have died of anger long ago. Not letting your emotions be controlled by others is something I want to teach you." Shang Tingwei pondered these words. He did dislike his master when he was young, but why did he get so angry when he heard others speak ill of him now? Night fell unknowingly. Late at night, two figures were conspiring in the magistrate's residence. The magistrate and her daughter had lived in this remote area for a long time. Now, with the second prince's arrival, they were plotting how to climb the social ladder. Yang Luer, despite her seemingly innocent and delicate appearance, held deep disdain for the second prince's master. That seductress Qi Jing has been involved with every emperor of the Yin dynasty. Everyone knows she's a loose woman. Your Highness, the second prince, with such a noble lineage, how can he keep such a promiscuous woman by his side? Her mother nodded in agreement and offered a plan. "I have the strongest aphrodisiac from the pleasure houses. If you can find a way to make the second prince take it, and you consummate the marriage, then it'll be a done deal. I'll find a way to force him to marry you." The woman carried a bowl of drugged soup towards the second prince's room. Looking at the bowl, she envisioned her future prosperity. However, just as she reached the door, she heard disharmonious sounds coming from inside. Listening closely, she heard, "Qi Jing Tinger faster. Shuiyan, that feels so good." Yang Luer's mind raced with indecent images. That seductress was actually engaging in lewd acts with two men in broad daylight. How shameless. She pushed the door open. Inside, three pairs of confused eyes looked back at her. Qi Jing spoke first, "Miss Yang." Shang Tingwei was annoyed. "You barged into someone's room without knocking. How rude." Yang Luer was flustered by his rebuke. "But what were you doing just now?" Shu Yin chuckled, as you can see, giving her master a massage. Without thinking, Yang Luer retorted, "A massage? Why would it make such indecent noises?" Qi Jing finally showed a hint of annoyance. "Miss Yang, what do you mean by indecent noises? Perhaps you could explain. And what brings you to my disciple's room so early in the morning?" Yang Luer was speechless. She looked at the bowl of soup in her hands, unsure what to do. After a moment, she stammered, "I was just passing by and wanted to see if His Highness had woken up." However, her little scheme was transparent to Qi Jing. Qi Jing smiled faintly. "Did I ask that so? I thought you had personally made this soup for His Highness." There are many stories of women from humble beginnings using drugged soup to seduce powerful men, seeking fame and fortune. I'm sure Miss Yang isn't that kind of person, right? Yang Luer panicked, her plan completely exposed. She weakly replied, "Of course not," and retreated in a flustered escape. After she left, Shang Tingwei leaned closer to Qi Jing and asked, "What kind of drug did you mention? It sounded so potent. Qi Jing choked on his tea, his eyes darting nervously that I was just bluffing. You don't need to know. More importantly, Jin set down his teacup and addressed the matter at hand. Have you thought a way to deal with this? The nine-tailed fox appeared when the seal was broken, summoned by an unknown force. To quickly determine the source of the strange talisman on the zombies, the fastest way is to summon the nine-tailed fox. To avoid the holy court's attention, Jin brought Shui Yin, transformed into a ball of fluff, to the outskirts. He had the soft, adorable little fox immediately enter a meditative state, focusing their energy and circulating their power. As demonic energy flowed around them, blue dream butterflies, shimmering with water-like light, formed a swirling vortex around Shui Yin. Summoning the nine-tailed fox, the enchanting butterflies fluttered their wings, flying faster and faster. With a whoosh, 9 enormous, sleek tails appear before them. The nine-tailed fox slowly approached Jin. You summoned me. Is Xu in danger? Jin shook his head. Shui Yin is fine. I summoned you to ask for your help. The fox narrowed its eyes. What help? Jin stretched out his hand, projecting the image of the zombie he had seen earlier. Nine-tailed fox. You are most skilled in suppressing magic. Do you recognize this floating symbol on the child who transformed into a zombie? The nine-tailed fox leaned in for a closer look, then replied with surprise. Who is he? How could he have this curse on him? Jin immediately pressed. You recognize it? This is puppetry magic. As far as I know, it was the specialty of the Demon King who was besieged and killed hundreds of years ago. Jin was astonished. The Demon King? Are you sure you haven't mistaken it? After all, the Demon King has been dead for centuries. The nine-tailed fox looked up towards the distance, as if drawn by some scent that I'm not mistaken. I sense the origin of this curse is from a graveyard. Someone is digging. Seeing Jin's shocked expression, the nine-tailed fox lowered its head and asked, but the Demon King is long dead. How could his puppetry magic reappear in the human realm? Jin pondered, replying, I'm also puzzled by this, but I suspect someone is targeting my disciple. Having not seen each other for over a decade, the nine-tailed fox felt a pang of emotion upon hearing news of Jin's disciple. However, its own demonic energy was now depleted. It would likely dissipate soon. It was a pity it wouldn't have the chance to meet Jin's little disciple. Jin, hearing this, felt a mix of emotions. He looked up and asked, how much time do you have left? The nine-tailed fox licked its paw nonchalantly. Perhaps 3 to 5 days, or perhaps just in the next moment. Sadness flickered in Jin's eyes. Should I tell Shui Yin? Don't you want to hear him call you mother? The nine-tailed fox shook its head in no need. I am a fox demon. Breaking the taboo and uniting with a human to bear him caused him to be stillborn. As a mother, I am content to have traded my life for his. These past years, my last sliver of soul has accompanied him day and night. It was stolen, blissful time. I only wish for his peace and safety in the years to come. I entrust him to you now, Jin. After the incident, more symbols appeared on the bodies. Sheng Tingwei, upon hearing this news from Jin, was even more perplexed. Completely baffled, Jin approached him from behind. This curse is puppetry magic. It was originally a demonic art used to control corpses. Once a living person is cursed, they enter a state of suspended animation, attacking and infecting others. After explaining, Jin turned to the magistrate. Magistrate Yang, has there been any large-scale excavation in your county recently? The magistrate pondered for a moment. Half a month ago, the Imperial court did send people to repair a dam. They mobilized nearby villages to relocate graves around Phoenix Ridge. Jin frowned. Just repairing a dam? This matter is certainly not that simple. Sheng Tingwei spoke sternly. Magistrate Yang, immediately dispatch men to investigate the whereabouts of those involved in the grave relocation. The magistrate broke out in a cold sweat. Your Highness, are you suspecting they might have become infected? Sheng Tingwei's expression was grave. That is just my speculation. We'll know the results once we find those people. Knowing the urgency of the matter, the magistrate hastily agreed to investigate. Watching his hurried departure, Sheng Tingwei turned to Jin with a puzzled look. Master, how did you know it was puppetry magic? Jin replied calmly. I merely consulted a friend. Sheng Tingwei was surprised. He hadn't expected his master to have friends in such a remote place. Jin, Recalling that friend felt a sense of melancholy. He spoke softly, as if to Shang Tingwei, yet also to himself, that a parent's love is universal. Although we are not blood related, I have raised you since childhood and wish for you a life of integrity, peace, and safety more than anyone. Shurjin looked at his young disciple with gentle eyes, speaking earnestly. Shang Tingwei was taken aback. Master, why are you suddenly saying these things? Shurjin didn't explain, turning to leave. He simply said, it's nothing, just a sudden feeling. Even if one day you wish to kill me, I will not regret having raised you. When Shang Tingwei heard the word kill, his heart clenched. He pressed on, asking, Master, what nonsense are you talking about? How could I ever do that to you? Shurjin heard his words but didn't reply. He simply walked away without looking back. Shang Tingwei was left standing there, watching his master's retreating figure, his heart filled with complex emotions. This wasn't the first time he heard his master say such things. Master, he thought, why do you always think I'll hurt you in the future? At this moment, Shang Tingwei felt a hollowness in his heart, as if he'd forgotten something important. The woman who tried to drug the prince was still unreconciled, even after being exposed. She sought out her mother, her partner in crime, to devise a new plan. As expected, the older woman was more cunning. Since the second prince and his master have such a deep bond, then why don't we change our approach and target his master, Shurjin? So, the next day, Yang Luer went to Shurjin's room. She eagerly invited him to go to the hot springs together. Shurjin was a little surprised. He just embarrassed her the other day. Yet today, she was inviting him out. He wondered what Miss Yang was up to. However, he decided to go along with it. He wanted to see what Yang Luer was planning. With that in mind, Shurjin turned and accepted with a smile. Well then, I wouldn't want to be impolite. There was a natural hot spring not far from the magistrate's residence. Shurjin hadn't relaxed in a long time. He sank into the pool and couldn't help but sigh. Soaking in the hot spring in this weather was incredibly comfortable. Since he transmigrated, he hadn't relaxed like this in a long time. This feeling made him nostalgic. At that moment, Yang Luer complimented him. Master Shur, your skin is truly amazing. I've heard rumors that you're immortal. Is that true? Shurjin nodded. It's true. Hearing this, a look of envy flashed in Yang Luer's eyes. Being a demon is really great. Not only do you have powerful magic, but your beauty also lasts forever. Immortal. Hearing this, Shurjin interrupted her. Don't think that way. The meaning of life isn't about its length. If you live each day like a walking corpse, even having an eternity is meaningless. As soon as he finished speaking, Yang Luer immediately nodded and flattered him with a smile. Master Shur is right. Seeing her obedient demeanor, Shurjin raised an eyebrow and looked her over. Speaking of which, Miss Luer, you have a lovely figure. You must be very popular. The young woman blushed at his sudden, direct compliment. Master Shur, don't tease me. Shurjin looked into her eyes and continued. How could I be teasing you? I sincerely mean to compliment your natural beauty. Yang Luer was dizzy with his repeated compliments and felt that what her mother had said was right. To win over the second prince, she had to win over the demon first. She reached out and grabbed Shurjin's arm, leaning closer. Master Shur, I have a question for you. After a moment, she asked, do you know what kind of woman His Highness the Second Prince likes? Hearing this, Shurjin finally understood her intentions. After all this, she still had her sights set on Tingwei. But things weren't that simple. Shurjin collected his thoughts and asked, Miss Luer, you've heard about the marriage alliance between Yinming and the Ran Kingdom, haven't you? It had been the talk of the town recently, so she naturally knew about it. But Yang Luer didn't understand what it had to do with her. Shurjin continued to explain, my disciple, His Highness the Second Prince, is one of the candidates for the marriage alliance. Shurjin shook his head inwardly, lamenting the young woman's naivete. Interfering in the male lead's love life in a novel was destined for failure. She should turn back now. Hearing this, Yang Luer was unconvinced. As an elder, Shurjin sighed and continued patiently. Tingwei is very likely to marry the Ran Kingdom princess. Destiny cannot be defied. Before he could finish, Yang Luer stood up abruptly in a fit of pique, leaving behind the words, I feel a bit dizzy from the heat, so I'll leave you to it. Master Sure. He watched her retreating figure. This young lady is still so naive. He thought, they say being a master is a high-risk occupation in novels and manga. So, as a qualified master, being seen bathing by your disciple isn't really that strange of a scenario. Just now, Shi Jin and Yang Luer had parted on unfriendly terms at the hot spring. Watching the young woman leave, Shi Jin slowly got out of the water. However, when he returned to the bank, his clothes were gone. A cold wind blew, and Shi Jin wrapped his arms around himself, a few drops of cold sweat dripping down his forehead. That girl was truly angry with him, so much so that she'd taken his clothes. Faced with such an awkward situation, Shi Jin had a bit of a headache. What could he say? He was truly an innocent bystander caught in the crossfire. Meanwhile, back at the magistrate's residence, Sheng Tingwei and Magistrate Yang were discussing the grave robbing incident. According to the investigation, all but one of the people involved in the grave robbing had become walking corpses. Hearing this, Sheng Tingwei felt that the matter couldn't be handled carelessly. He decided to discuss it with his master before making a decision. He learned from Magistrate Yang that Shi Jin had been invited by his daughter to go sightseeing earlier that morning. He should currently be in the back mountains. And so, at this moment, Shi Jin had just emerged from the pool, looking for his clothes. A rustling sound came from behind him. He quickly clutched his thin inner garment and turned around, shouting, "Who's there? Come out!" At this moment, a figure dressed in black slowly walked out. The person kept their head down, saying nothing, and walked up to Qi Jing. He shyly turned his head and scratched his head. "Master, it's me." Sheng Tingwei's face was flushed, his expression flustered, and his cheeks burning with embarrassment. Qi Jing was startled. "Tingwei, why are you here?" He then realized he was naked and quickly covered himself. Caught naked by his disciple while bathing, Qi Jing hurriedly got up and conjured a new set of clothes. After dressing, he calmly said, "Tingwei." Sheng Tingwei, who had his back to Qi Jing while he dressed, turned around. His face still flushed, Qi Jing changed the subject. "How did the investigation go today? Did you find anything?" Sheng Tingwei replied, "Everyone involved in the grave relocation has become a walking corpse. Only one person survived. That person is the key to solving this case." Qi Jing quickly pressed for the person's whereabouts. However, Sheng Tingwei told him that the person had been missing for several days. Not only him, but all those who had become walking corpses had also vanished. Hearing this, Qi Jing frowned. Something strange is definitely going on. Sheng Tingwei nodded. "Just now, I received a letter from my father. He said he has dispatched people from the Iran Pavilion to assist us. Perhaps they will know what we can't figure out." Qi Jing's expression darkened upon hearing this. He knew that in the original novel, the Iran Pavilion was similar to the Emperor's personal secret service, not well regarded by the righteous factions of the court. They specialized in handling matters the Emperor couldn't address openly. Only the Emperor knew the true identity of the Pavilion Master. Seeing Qi Jing lost in thought, Sheng Tingwei interrupted, "Master, don't think too much. The magistrate has already sent people to search. As long as we find him, everything might become clear." Qi Jing smiled with relief. "That you're right. It seems my little disciple has truly grown up." Qi Jing then pulled out a small candy and dangled it in front of Sheng Tingwei. "Tingwei here. Master will reward you with candy." Seeing Qi Jing acting like he was coaxing a child, Sheng Tingwei refused. "Master, I'm almost 16. I'm not a child." Qi Jing didn't seem to mind, but a hint of disappointment flashed in his eyes. "Even so, Tingwei, in Master's eyes, you will always be a child who hasn't grown up." However, this common exchange between master and disciple, for some reason, sounded particularly jarring to Sheng Tingwei, making him feel irritated. The innocent young disciple, having accidentally seen his master naked, was blushing furiously. This scene made the already scheming young man's face flush crimson. Such an opportunity wouldn't come again. Sheng Tingwei seized the initiative and blurted out, "Master, I just saw your body. I was too presumptuous. But Master, please rest assured, I will definitely take responsibility for you." Qi Jing hadn't expected the awkward topic he had just managed to divert to be brought up again so bluntly. Twice born and perpetually single, Qi Jing was so flustered that he lost his composure and quickly waved his hands. "It's not a big deal." His words were cut short by Sheng Tingwei, who suddenly dropped to one knee. With with a serious expression, he declared, "I, Sheng Tingwei, swear to heaven that I am willing to marry Master and take care of you for the rest of your life. I will be responsible for your future." Qi Jing, watching the young man's solemn and impassioned speech, didn't know what to do. He jumped up and covered Sheng Tingwei's mouth. "Don't say any more." However, Sheng Tingwei seized his hand and continued, "Master, I'm not joking. I want to marry you." Qi Jing immediately refused. "This is not possible." He pulled his hand back and explained with some exasperation, "You are an imperial prince. You're likely to be betrothed to a princess of the Ran Kingdom in the future, and I am a guardian demon. Just the fact that we are of different races means we are destined to be only master and disciple. In short, I cannot marry you. Please get up." Having said this, Qi Jing didn't want to say more and turned to leave. Let's pretend this never happened. The relationship between master and disciple had subtly shifted. Elsewhere, a group was heading towards them. One of the 4 guardians of the Iran pavilion had been ordered to the site of the walking corpse outbreak. The Emperor of Een, unwilling to accept his declining health, sought immortality, but his actions had been discovered. He specifically sent this guardian to put an end to the matter before Sheng Tingwei found the survivor. So, where's this crucial survivor now? Faced with his disciple's sudden proposal, the master hurriedly left and, upon returning to his room, changed the subject to more serious matters. Before Magistrate Yang arrived, the only survivor of Cheap Market had been found. He was currently at the Phoenix Ridge bandit hideout. Hearing this, Sheng Tingwei wanted to join the magistrate and lead troops up the mountain to suppress the bandits. Qi Jing, however, felt this matter was different. Their objective was to find the survivor of the incident, not to charge up the mountain and alert the bandits. Alarming the bandits would only tip them off. This matter required careful consideration. Just as the 3 were at a loss, a woman's voice rang out. Hearing the voice, they recognized Yang Luer. Magistrate Yang immediately flew into a rage. "We are in the middle of a discussion. How dare you interrupt so casually?" Yang Luer quickly grabbed his arm and hurriedly said, "Father, I came to find you. You were in the medicine room just a moment ago." Yang Luer's mother, upon hearing that she had impulsively stolen Qi Jing's clothes while he was in the hot spring, scolded her for being reckless. Then, she continued to devise a plan for her not-so-bright daughter. Since her attempt to curry favor with Qi Jing had failed, and now Sheng Tingwei was troubled by the walking corpse incident, she reasoned that offering a good solution at this time would surely win the prince's favor. Arriving at the study, Yang Luer gave a courteous greeting to the 2 men inside. Following her mother's instructions, she smiled and said, "Regarding the bandit situation, I have a plan to offer." Intrigued, Qi Jing wanted to see what ingenious plan this lovesick girl had concocted. With Qi Jing's permission, Yang Luer continued, "As everyone knows, bandits are greedy. We can use gold and silver to lure them out of their hideout. I happen to have an older sister who has been married for many years. Her husband is a wealthy merchant." At this point, Yang Luer took hold of Sheng Tingwei's arm. "This time, why don't you, second prince, and I pretend to be my sister and her husband traveling past Phoenix Ridge? We'll spread the word about our wealth to lure the bandits out. They'll surely take the bait. Then, we'll pretend to fall into their hands. And once we've ascertained their situation, we can coordinate an attack from inside and out to capture them." After she finished speaking, Qi Jing nodded. This plan is feasible. Indeed, one shouldn't judge a book by its cover. A lovesick girl wasn't necessarily brainless. Having a brain was what mattered. At this point, Magistrate Yang had some concerns. After all, pretending to be a married couple still required the second prince's consent. Sheng Tingwei didn't refuse. This was indeed a clever plan. He turned to Qi Jing for confirmation. "Master, what do you think?" Qi Jing indicated he had no objections. Hearing this, Sheng Tingwei made his decision. "Since Master agrees, let's do it this way." With these words, Yang Luer was overjoyed. She had succeeded. However, her happiness was short-lived. Sheng Tingwei continued, "But it's too risky for Miss Yang and me to pretend to be a couple. Miss Yang has no martial arts skills, and it would be too dangerous. It's best you remain at the magistrate's residence and await news." Just as Yang Luer was about to speak, she was interrupted. "As for pretending to be a couple, leave that to Master." Before Qi Jing could react, Sheng Tingwei turned and instructed the magistrate. Leaving no room for refusal, he said, "Magistrate Yang, please make the necessary arrangements. We'll head up the mountain tomorrow. Master and I will pose as husband and wife to ensure the bandits' cooperation." Before leaving, Magistrate Yang offered an assist. "Since the two of you are pretending to be husband and wife, it's best to act more intimately." Thus, inside the carriage, Sheng Tingwei openly held Qi Jing's hand, refusing to let go. Qi Jing's heart pounded. He had lived for so long, and this was the first time he had held hands with a man. A strange feeling arose within him. Tingwei's hand was so large. He tried to pull away shyly, but Sheng Tingwei's grip tightened. "Master, bandits are unpredictable. We should be cautious." He raised their joined hands and softly asked, "Am I holding your hand too tightly? Is it uncomfortable, master?" Qi Jing looked at his disciple's innocent expression. His own reaction now seemed overly coy and petty. Thinking this, Qi Jing stopped being shy and allowed Sheng Tingwei to hold his hand. He said with concern, "Tingwei, be careful when we encounter the bandits. Watch for an opportunity and stay safe." Sheng Tingwei told his master not to worry. He knew what to do. But then he paused and leaned closer to Qi Jing. "Master, it's best to change how you address me. It wouldn't be good if we're exposed." Qi Jing's barely calmed heart fluttered again. Looking into Sheng Tingwei's earnest eyes, his heart couldn't help but race. Sheng Tingwei addressed him, "Wife." Qi Jing's face flushed. Suppressing his emotions, he pretended to be calm and replied, "You're right, husband." Just then, with a sudden jolt, the carriage stopped. The bandits had arrived. A group of men in black surrounded the carriage. Sheng Tingwei helped Qi Jing down from the carriage. Qi Jing feigned fear and shouted at the bandits, "What do you want? I'm Magistrate Yang's daughter. If you dare touch me, my father will not spare you." Hearing this, the Nandu, who appeared to be the leader, let out a wicked laugh. "That we've got you now." The two of them, appearing defenseless, were tied up by the bandits and taken back to their hideout. However, after thoroughly searching the carriage, the bandits found nothing of value. The bandit leader was furious, feeling he had been tricked. He raised his saber, threatening the couple. "Tell me where the treasure is." At this, Qi Jing continued their attempt to escape the situation, because the journey is long. "We hired armed escorts to transport our valuables and important belongings back to the residence. Please, just let us go. I'll write to my father immediately. I only ask that you don't harm us." The bandit leader pondered for a moment. He turned and gestured to a bandit to bring paper and a brush. Qi Jing quickly wrote a letter and handed it over. "My father will recognize my handwriting. He'll definitely come when he sees it." The bandit leader rudely snatched the letter. He shouted impatiently, "It better be that way." He was about to order his men to lock them in the woodshed, but Sheng Tingwei suddenly interrupted. "Due to the arduous journey, my wife is frail. If she falls ill, it might affect the subsequent transaction." He requested that the bandits provide them with a clean room to rest. The bandit leader was somewhat surprised, not expecting Sheng Tingwei to still be thinking of Qi Jing at this time. The two were led to a guest room. Looking at the scene inside, the two made eye contact, then quickly looked away. The room was so quiet that only their breathing could be heard. Qi Jing covered their face with their hands. How can there be only one bed? The two stood in the quiet room, turning their heads away from each other, speechless. Although they were pretending to be husband and wife, how could they manage with only one bed? After a long silence, Qi Jing patted Sheng Tingwei's shoulder, breaking the stalemate. "Linger, you sleep on the bed. My waist hurts, so I can sleep without one." Sheng Tingwei quickly shook his head. That's not acceptable. It's not safe here. I'll keep watch." "Master, you sleep on the bed." The two began to argue over who should sleep on the bed. Hearing the commotion inside, a bandit outside the room yelled, "What's all the noise about so late at night?" Hearing this, Sheng Tingwei embarrassedly scratched his head. He sighed. "Master, Yang Zhixian also said that since we're pretending to be husband and wife, we should act more intimately." Blushing, the disciple looked at Qi Jing. "Let's sleep together." Qi Jing's heart skipped a beat, trying to maintain composure. They thought to themselves, at this rate, the shippers will weld the carriage doors shut. The moon was beautiful that night. The master and disciple on the single bed in the room were also beautiful. Qi Jing didn't speak, but their heart was pounding. Who would have thought that one day they would be sleeping with their own disciple? Lost in thought, they were suddenly interrupted by Sheng Tingwei's voice. "I'm sorry, master. I made the promise, yet now you have to squeeze into this small bed with me." Sheng Tingwei suddenly seemed melancholic. After all this, I don't know if we can successfully follow the plan tomorrow and capture the key person in the bandit hideout, the one involved in the human trafficking ring." Seeing their disciples' furrowed brow, Qi Jing offered a comforting smile. "Finding the person won't be difficult. My letter should have reached the Zhixian's residence by now. Tomorrow, I'll drug the bandits beforehand to give you a helping hand." Hearing this, Sheng Tingwei immediately sat up. "No, it's too dangerous. I should be the one to do it." Qi Jing was a little surprised. Was he concerned about them? Ever since the fox demon stole his memories, he had always seemed indifferent. Now his attitude seemed to have softened. Thinking this, Qi Jing waved their hand, summoning their magic. "Don't worry. I promised you that I would help you fulfill any wish you have." Watching the countless butterfly-shaped lights fly out, Sheng Tingwei's heart suddenly skipped a beat. Fragments of memories flashed through his mind. His heart ached for reasons unknown, pierced by these images. Unexplained emotions surged, making Sheng Tingwei's head throb. Seeing this, Qi Jing became anxious. "Tinger, what's wrong?" Sheng Tingwei woke up leaning against his master. He blinked his eyes in confusion. Before losing consciousness, Sheng Tingwei seemed to have seen some familiar scenes. He seemed to have heard a voice. "I want to be with Master forever." Sheng Tingwei gradually regained his senses from the hazy memories. Day had broken. Before him was Qi Jing, their face etched with worry. "Tinger, you're finally awake." Sheng Tingwei sat up in a daze. "What happened? Why am I lying on Master?" He told him his actual worries. "You suddenly fainted last night. Are you feeling better now?" Sheng Tingwei gradually regained consciousness. Last night, he felt a sudden, sharp pain in his head and heart. It was as if something important had been stolen from him. And this feeling has been occurring frequently lately. I'm always anxious and insecure, especially when Master is kind to me. The feeling intensifies then. Qi Jing was surprised to hear this. Tinger didn't remember the deal with the fox demon. Now it seemed he might be regaining his memory. He reached out and firmly held Sheng Tingwei's hand, comforting him. "Don't worry. If you feel like you've lost something important, Master will help you find it slowly." Inwardly, Qi Jing was actually feeling distressed. "Don't find it," he thought. He still needs to live a few more chapters in the novel. At this moment, there was an urgent knock at the door. "You two lovebirds inside. Stop cuddling and get up. The boss wants to see you right away." The couple inside exchanged glances. The plan had begun. The master and disciple, pretending to be captured, were brought before the bandit leader. At this point, everything was proceeding according to plan. Yang Zhixian had arrived at the mountain stronghold. To prevent any tricks, the bandit leader demanded that one of them stay behind as a hostage. Sheng Tingwei and Qi Jing looked at each other, a hint of hesitation flashing in their eyes. After a moment of thought, Qi Jing spoke. "You go down the mountain with them. I'll stay here as a hostage." Sheng Tingwei wanted to refuse, but Qi Jing interrupted him. He smiled, indicating that he would be fine. The bigger picture was more important. Sheng Tingwei had no choice but to agree. Before leaving, he didn't forget to put on another act in front of the bandits. He reached out and embraced Qi Jing, crying out heartbrokenly, "My wife. I will definitely come back and save you." Qi Jing, hearing this, also embraced Sheng Tingwei, his face full of reluctance. The bandits, having been force-fed this display of affection, were quite impatient and immediately ordered their men to pull them apart. Master and disciple went their separate ways. Qi Jing returned to the stronghold with several bandits. Passing by the well, he suddenly stopped, asking the two bandits for a favor, using the excuse of wanting to fetch some water to wash his face. After receiving their permission, he walked alone to the well. He took out the prepared laxative and dropped it into the water. He calculated the time. It was still 2 meals away from evening. This packet of laxative would be just right to weaken the bandits' fighting strength later. Evening, the bandits took Sheng Tingwei down the mountain to exchange him for the ransom. They arrived before Yang Zhixian. One hand for the hostage, the other for the goods. Sheng Tingwei had just been handed over to Yang Zhixian when the bandits discovered that the ransom chest was empty. Realizing they had been tricked, they drew their ridiculously long swords, ready to fight. However, just then, the laxative began to take effect. Several bandits clutched their stomachs and knelt on the ground in pain. Then the officers surrounded them. Only then did the bandits realize they had been trapped. Sheng Tingwei's side had captured the bandits without lifting a finger. However, on Qi Jing's side, another unexpected event occurred. A group of masked individuals suddenly attacked the stronghold. They approached Qi Jing, demanding he hand over the survivor of the incident. Qi Jing's heart skipped a beat. Another faction was also searching for the person they were looking for. He stood before them that I don't care who you are. I won't hand him over to you. Seeing his defiance, the masked figures summoned a ball of red, demonic energy, preparing to attack. Qi Jing's expression darkened. Demons. These people were demons. At that moment, Sheng Tingwei arrived and appeared before them. Before he could react, the masked figure hurled the demonic fire towards Sheng Tingwei. Qi Jing cried out in alarm. In the next second, Sheng Tingwei's neck was engulfed in red demonic fire. He was suspended in midair. The masked figure threatened, "Hand him over, or I'll kill him." Seeing his disciple captured and in mortal danger by these unknown individuals, Qi Jing agreed to the exchange without hesitation. Because in this world, nothing and no one was more important than Tinger's safety. Qi Jing shouted at the masked figure in black, "I'll give him to you. Let my disciple go." Qi Jing couldn't worry about anyone else right now. He wasn't a saint. He just wanted Tinger to be safe and sound. Hearing this, the masked figure released Sheng Tingwei. They took the person they were looking for and, without further delay, vanished into thin air with a spell. Seeing this, Sheng Tingwei's expression darkened. They were demons. Besides the guardian demons, there were actually other demon clans daring to act in broad daylight. Qi Jing also couldn't understand. It seemed that the walking corpse incident was also related to the demon clan. The next day, the master and disciple returned to Huangshan County. Qi Jing personally wiped Sheng Tingwei's body. Although Linger's body was a little better than when he was young, after going up Mount Tang this time, he started to have a fever again. As expected, the root cause of his illness hadn't been eliminated, and he was still somewhat weak. Seeing his master's worried expression, Sheng Tingwei comforted him. "I'm fine, master. I've gotten used to it after so many years." However, when Qi Jing's fingers touched his body, he felt that even his inner shirt was soaked with sweat. He wanted to help him change his clothes, but Sheng Tingwei shyly kept shouting no. Qi Jing said with a serious and earnest expression, "That won't do. Wet clothes will aggravate your illness." Ignoring Sheng Tingwei's refusal, he directly reached out and pulled open his shirt. As the clothes were removed, he could actually feel the burning heat of the skin he touched. He didn't see Sheng Tingwei's body stiffen, completely Bugon Dongkai. "Master, does he even know what he's doing?" Suddenly, there was a bang. Shui Yin pushed the door open. "Master, His Highness the Second Prince has arrived at Huangshan County alone. Protector Qian Rinzhan requests an audience." As soon as she finished speaking, the air in the room suddenly became still. Shui Yin stayed where she was. "You two continue. I'll come back later." She stood stunned for a moment before reacting. "Wait, do you have some kind of misunderstanding?" A quarter of an hour later, the master and disciple, having changed their clothes, arrived at the front hall. Protector Qian Rinzhan paid his respects to Sheng Tingwei. Seeing him, a look of blame flashed through Sheng Tingwei's eyes. "Why are you so late? If you had arrived a day earlier, the survivors of the incident wouldn't have been captured." Hearing this, Qian Rinzhan knelt down and admitted his guilt. Sheng Tingwei sighed, "Forget it. After all, he also bore some responsibility. It was just that all the clues were now broken. He was afraid he would have to break the military order he had previously promised the people. At this time, Qian Rinzhan reported, "Your Highness, regarding this matter, this subordinate has a way to resolve it." He took out a pill and explained, "Pavilion Master is skilled in medicine. He instructed this subordinate to give these pills to your Highness. This pill can cure the walking corpse condition." Hearing this, Sheng Tingwei was somewhat doubtful that is this true? Qian Rinzhan continued to explain, "The so-called walking corpses are actually poisoned. If it's poison, there must be a way to cure it." Hearing this, Qi Jing only felt that he was talking nonsense. Those people were clearly afflicted by a puppet curse. However, seeing his confident appearance, he should indeed have a solution. Hearing this, Sheng Tingwei's face lit up with joy. This way, the affected people can all be saved. Hian Shen nodded precisely. Then he knelt down and conveyed the Imperial edict. "His Majesty also instructed you to investigate this case. He requests your Highness to return to the capital quickly. Princess Changle, who has come from the Ming Kingdom for a marriage alliance, has already arrived in the capital." The master and disciple were ordered to return to the palace. The princess who came from the Ming Kingdom for a marriage alliance had already arrived in the capital. In the original story, when the female lead, Qi Ying, arrived in the Yin Kingdom, the people welcomed her. They firmly believed that the princess who came from Ming Kingdom for a marriage alliance was a person who brought peace. And Qi Jing's tragic ending in the original book book was due to him constantly scheming to break up the male and female leads. Although Qi Jing had patiently raised his disciple since childhood in this life, due to the incident at the Lake of Illusions, Sheng Tingwei had already lost his feelings for him. The disciple-raising plan had failed. Qi Jing felt that now, the only way for him to survive was to curry favor with the female lead and facilitate the marriage between the male and female leads. Several days later, the master and disciple traveled with the group towards the capital. That day, it was already late. The Iran Pavilion protector found them an inn. Rest here for the night, master. We'll be able to enter the capital tomorrow. Sheng Tingwei nodded in agreement. In the evening, his subordinates also arranged a restaurant for their entertainment. Inside the private room, a madam came forward and said that they had invited the top courtesan, Miss Yin-Yu. This Miss Yin-Yu was extremely difficult to engage, and Zion Renzhang had spent a fortune to bribe the madam. Watching the madam leave, Qi Jing was puzzled. Who is this Miss Yin-Yu? Zion Renzhang replied with a smile. Master Qi doesn't know. The courtesan Yin-Yu is famous for her beauty throughout the capital. Countless dignitaries come here and spend a fortune just to catch a glimpse of her. Qi Jing smiled and thought, as expected, men are all pigs. They love to look at beautiful women. Thinking of this, he turned to look at Sheng Tingwei. In the original story, among the male leads, trusted aides, there was indeed a formidable person. However, this beauty wasn't a woman, but a stunningly beautiful cross-dresser. In the book's plot, he failed in an assassination attempt on the male lead and was subsequently conquered and recruited by him. He racked his brains. Although he remembered the cross-dresser's name wasn't Yin-Yu, it was better to be cautious. Just then, a fragrant aroma drifted over, followed by a clear and pleasant voice. Honored guests, after a long wait, Yin-Yu has arrived. Yin-Yu, wearing a partial veil, pulled back a light white curtain. Qi Jing's eyes lit up as he bowed. Wow, truly a stunning beauty. Rumor had it that the Mingdong king's weapon was actually a breathtakingly beautiful cross-dresser. This was Qi Jing's first time seeing this woman named Yin-Yu. Even through the thin veil, her extraordinary beauty was evident. A madam walked in front of Yin-Yu, praising her and mentioning that she had personally brewed peach blossom wine to entertain the 50 guests present. As her voice faded, Yin-Yu stepped forward and prepared to dance. Qi Jing watched her graceful movements, thinking, not only is she beautiful, but her skills and talents are also exceptional. No wonder men are willing to spend a fortune on her. At that moment, Qi Jing's gaze drifted towards Sheng Tingwei, sizing him up. Now that Pinger has reached the age of budding romance, I wonder how he views this great beauty. Sheng Tingwei, noticing Qi Jing's gaze, turned and asked, Master, why are you looking at me like that? Caught off guard, Qi Jing quickly explained, Nothing, Master is just curious. You haven't interacted with many girls since you were young. What do you think of Yin-Yu? Sheng Tingwei's expression remained unchanged as he replied. In terms of appearance, she is far inferior to Master. Hearing this, Qi Jing felt a surge of joy. Could this be the master filter in my disciple's eyes? Just then, Yin-Yu approached from behind, lowered her eyes, and began to dance. Accompanied by gusts of fragrant wind, Yin-Yu danced gracefully. Qian Rinzhan then obligingly poured the wine Yin-Yu had personally brewed for Sheng Tingwei. As the wine flowed from the bottle, Qi Jing suddenly detected a strange fragrance. The smell seemed to be emanating from the wine. Sheng Tingwei was about to accept the wine when Qi Jing stopped him. Ignoring the puzzled looks of the other two at the table, he stood up and said, Since this is Miss Yin-Yu's personally brewed wine, the first cup should naturally be offered to Miss Yin-Yu herself. Qi Jing smiled gently. Miss Yin-Yu, would you mind having a drink with me? Yin-Yu remained silent, standing still. After a moment, he suddenly drew a dagger from behind his back and swung it towards Sheng Tingwei. Qian Rinzhan jumped in front of Sheng Tingwei to block the attack. Qi Jing also reached out to defend, striking Yin-Yu's shoulder with one palm and grabbing his wrist with the other. Drugging my disciple right in front of me? You've got quite the nerve. Yin-Yu was clearly at a disadvantage against Qi Jing. A fierce glint flashed in his eyes. He prepared to attack again. Seeing this, Qi Jing quickly dodged to the side and grabbed his sash, pulling his hands up. With a clang, the dagger in Yin-Yu's hand fell to the floor. However, as the sash was pulled upwards, Yin-Yu's chest was exposed to Qi Jing. Qi Jing was shocked. This was clearly not the figure of a woman. Qi Jing's hand landed on his chest, and he asked in astonishment, You're a man? Seeing this scene, Sheng Tingwei jumped up. What? Master is having skin-to-skin contact with a strange man. The cross-dressing dancer, after changing into men's clothing, turned out to be a bewitchingly handsome young man. After his assassination attempt failed and his identity was exposed by Qi Jing, Yinyu was immediately taken away by Sheng Tingwei for interrogation. Several days later, they only managed to extract a name, and they didn't even know if it was real. Qi Jing asked, "What's his name?" Sheng Tingwei replied, "By Li Feng." Hearing these 3 words, Qi Jing's heart skipped a beat. By Li Feng? Wasn't that the name of the male lead's confidant in the novel? He hadn't expected this cunning fellow to use an alias. Thinking this, Qi Jing continued to ask Tingwei, "So, how do you plan to deal with him?" Sheng Tingwei frowned. "Assassinating the prince is a capital offense. He should be executed." A glint of killing intent flashed in his eyes. The thought of Bai Li Feng flirting with his master made him even angrier. Hearing the word executed, Qi Jing immediately slammed the table and jumped up, shouting, "No way. He's Tinger's future right-hand man. How can we kill him?" Sheng Tingwei was surprised to see his master's reaction. "What do you mean? Do you have feelings for him, master?" Unable to speak, he hesitated, wanting to explain. Just then, Shui Yin rushed in and interrupted. "Master, that androgynous assassin says he wants to see you." Shi Jing turned his head in surprise. "See me?" Hearing this, Sheng Tingwei's anger surged. He wanted to kill Bai Li Feng immediately. He shouted towards Qi Jing, "No way, master. This person is treacherous. You can't go." Seeing this, Qi Jing smiled and reassured him, "Tinger, don't worry. I'll go meet him and see. Perhaps I can find some clues." Qi Jing walked into the room where Bai Li Feng was being held. "I heard you wanted to see me, husband." Bai Li Feng looked Qi Jing up and down. "I didn't expect you to actually come." Qi Jing countered, "Why do you say that?" Bai Li Feng's tone carried a hint of teasing. "Because your good disciple seems very opposed to you having contact with other people of the opposite sex." Qi Jing, upon hearing this, said, "Bai Li Feng, you misunderstand. He's not that kind of person." Bai Li Feng was speechless at this obtuse woman. Bystanders see more clearly, he thought. The possessiveness was clearly written all over Sheng Tingwei's face. Seeing Qi Jing remain silent, he got straight to the point. "As long as you reveal the person behind this, I can spare your life." Bai Li Feng smiled wickedly. "I've lived a life of danger since I was a child. Do you think I'm afraid of death?" Qi Jing hadn't expected him to be so uncooperative. "Then what will it take for you to talk?" A glint of triumph flashed in Bai Li Feng's eyes. "Little lady, you molested me in public. I want you to take responsibility for me." Qi Jing's skin crawled at his words. What era are we in that a man still says such things, she thought. She stepped closer to Bai Li Feng and said loudly, "Wake up. That's impossible." Bai Li Feng turned his head away at her words. "Then I won't say anything." Qi Jing was silent for a moment, then spoke softly. "Bai Li Feng, you've practiced martial arts for 20 years, hoping to become a renowned warrior and serve the court, but you were treated unfairly because of your appearance. Forced to become an assassin, you wanted to prove your abilities." Bai Li Feng's face paled upon hearing these words. "How did you learn about this?" Qi Jing smiled calmly. "It doesn't matter how I know. But as long as you confess, I will help you fulfill your lifelong wish. What do you think?" Qi Jing successfully subdued this man of exceptional martial arts and beauty. Holding the script, she knew that Bai Li Feng now had no hope of a normal life and had failed in his assassination attempt. The person behind the scenes wouldn't bother with him anymore. So, she offered Bai Li Feng a chance at a normal life, letting him stay by Sheng Tingwei's side, becoming his right-hand man like Yuan Wenzhong. The next day, the group continued their journey back to the palace. Now that everything was settled, they could depart as soon as Qi Jing was ready. A moment later, Qi Jing walked over slowly and told Sheng Tingwei that Bai Li Feng had confessed. The mastermind was the First Prince's faction. They were likely afraid that Sheng Tingwei's return to the palace would threaten their position. Sheng Tingwei frowned, lost in thought. Suddenly, he noticed a figure wearing a bamboo hat behind Qi Jing. It was Bai Li Feng. He exclaimed angrily, "Master, why is he here? Shouldn't he be in prison?" Qi Jing stepped forward to explain. "The palace is full of danger after you enter. I can't always be by your side. Having him guard you will be safer." Sheng Tingwei was furious. Master, have you forgotten how he tried to assassinate me last night? How can I keep him by my side? Qi Jing found it hard to explain. This is a key tool for Tinger's future path to becoming emperor, she thought. Hearing Sheng Tingwei's words, Bai Lifeng's face showed a hint of disdain. If I'd want to protect you. If it weren't for the little lady's request, you wouldn't even be worthy of my protection, you yellow-haired brat. Sheng Tingwei's, I twitched in anger. What did you call my master? Bai Lifeng casually flicked his hair, little lady. It's my unique term of endearment for her. Sheng Tingwei was furious. He didn't know why he was so angry, but how could Bai Lifeng address his master like that? Sheng Tingwei drew the sword from his waist. I will never keep someone like you by my side. I'll kill you now and rid the world of this pest. Bai Lifeng smirked. Come on then. If you can even touch a hair on my head, I'll consider you skilled. Shui Yin, watching from the side, felt something was off. Master, could the second prince be jealous? Qi Jing replied dismissively, don't be ridiculous. After all, Tinger has never had any friends and isn't good at interacting with others. Within a few moves, Sheng Tingwei was at a disadvantage, defeated by Bai Lifeng. Just as the defeated Sheng Tingwei was about to speak, Qi Jing interrupted. All right, stop arguing. Bai Lifeng, remember what you promised me. Tinger now knows your abilities. From this moment on, he will accept you, but you must also know your place. Hearing this, Bai Lifeng smiled and nodded. I'll obey little lady's orders. Seeing him agree, Qi Jing turned to Sheng Tingwei and continued, Bai Lifeng is here to protect you. Don't be willful. The palace is full of dangers, and you have few trustworthy people around you. Understand? Sheng Tingwei suppressed his discontent. Qi Jing looked at the pool and began to speak. All right, but if Master insists on keeping him by my side, you must promise me one condition. Your disciple is very unhappy with this flamboyant man who clings to Master all day. Master clearly sent him to protect me, yet he acts as if he wants to be my consort. This return to the palace was fraught with danger. Qi Jing felt that Ting couldn't be without capable people around him. Although Bai Lifeng was usually frivolous, his martial arts skills were exceptional. However, he always spoke to Qi Jing in a suggestive manner. Sheng Tingwei was annoyed that don't forget the condition I made for you to stay by my side. You must not tease Master and keep your distance from him. Bai Lifeng was unconcerned. Let's go. Don't keep your emperor father waiting. Sheng Tingwei's group entered the palace. At this time, in the Empress Kunming Palace, Princess Qi Ying of Chonglu, who had come for a marriage alliance, was summoned. Everyone knew that in the Ying Kingdom, there had never been a precedent of a princess sent for marriage alliance becoming the empress. Therefore, the empress absolutely could not allow Qi Ying to marry her son. She pretended to be kind and said to Qi Ying, you and the second prince were both raised by the guardian demon. Now that he has returned to the palace, you two will surely get along well. Qi Ying gave a docile impression, but she certainly knew that the empress' intentions were not so pure. Currently, the Ying Kingdom's imperial court was divided into two factions. One was the empress faction supporting the first prince, Sheng Tingkong. The other was the Kai-Ho-S faction supporting the third prince, Sheng Tingyu. Yesterday, the Empress Dowager had summoned her and hinted that she should stay away from the third prince. Today, the Empress was trying to pair her with the second prince, whom she had never met. Qi Ying felt exasperated. Dealing with these women in the palace was truly tiring. She suddenly became lost in thought, thinking of Master Qi and Sheng Tingyu. She wondered how they were doing recently. Had they cleared up the misunderstanding yet? Thinking of this, Qi Ying felt a little down. She bowed to the Empress and excused herself. On her way back to her chambers, her thoughts were a jumble. She longed to go home. This place seemed beautiful, but it devoured people without a trace. At this moment, not far away, Sheng Tingwei and Bai Lifeng were having a rather disharmonious exchange. Qi Ying heard their bickering and looked back. She felt that the person over there looked very much like Sheng Tingyu. But then she thought Sheng Tingyu was a commoner and couldn't possibly be here. It must be an illusion. Qi Ying collected her thoughts and continued walking. As she reached a covered walkway in the palace, the two men happened to approach her head-on. Qi Ying was in disbelief. With such noble bearing, could he really be Sheng Tingyu? Before Qi Ying could react, Bai Lifeng's eyes narrowed. He drew his weapon and blocked her approach. Who are you? Why are you following us? The princess who had come for the marriage alliance was unexpectedly confronted with a weapon by a strange man. Sheng Tingwei hadn't expected Bai Li Feng to react so quickly. He approached from behind to intervene. It turned out to be a misunderstanding. Bai Li Feng had mistaken Qi Ying for someone with ill intentions. Seeing Sheng Tingwei come to her rescue, Qi Ying shook her head and replied, "It's all right. You didn't know." Her heart was filled with complex emotions. This person really was Sheng Tingyu. Since Sheng Tingyu was the second prince of the Yin Kingdom, then wouldn't Master Qi be the Yin Kingdom's guardian demon? Thinking of this, Qi Ying looked around. Seeing this, Sheng Tingwei asked in confusion, "What are you looking for?" Qi Ying said, "I'm wondering if Master Qi also entered the palace with you." Sheng Tingwei replied with a blank expression, "We just arrived. My father summoned Master Qi alone, so he went to rest first." Qi Ying thought, His Majesty summoned him in such a hurry as soon as he returned. There must be something urgent. Before Sheng Tingwei could speak, Bai Li Feng quipped, "His Majesty is obviously in a hurry to finalize the marriage between you and the second prince." Hearing this, Qi Ying blushed at my marriage. Sheng Tingwei, unable to listen any longer, interrupted, "Princess, don't listen to his nonsense. I'm in a hurry to see my father, so I'll take my leave now." With that, he turned and left abruptly. Meanwhile, Qi Jing, who remained in Weiyang Palace, became busy as soon as he entered the palace. Tinger had never left his side since childhood. Now that he had returned to the palace, most of the people here wanted to harm him. Qi Jing couldn't help but worry. Shui Yin couldn't understand. If Master is worried, why not just stay with him? Qi Jing sighed. Once you enter the palace, it's like the depths of the sea. You can't be willful and reckless. Hearing this, Shui Yin felt a bit uneasy. There are too many rules here. I'm not used to it, Master. When can we return to the wasteland with the second prince? Hearing this, Qi Jing was lost in thought that he is a prince. He will have to marry the princess of the Ming Kingdom in the future. He won't be going back. For some reason, although this was what Qi Jing had always hoped for, now that it was about to come true, he felt an emptiness in his heart. A rush of footsteps suddenly came from outside the door. Qi Ying ran towards Qi Jing with a smile on her face. Seeing Qi Jing, Qi Ying was overjoyed. She threw herself into his arms. "Master, you really came? I missed you so much." Qi Ying hadn't expected to run into Qi Jing and Sheng Tingwei in the Yin Kingdom's palace. She was very surprised. She was completely alone here and not happy at all. Qi Jing gave her a concerned look. Qi Ying's grievances welled up. The princes and the people in the harem here all acted so high and mighty, and they didn't take her seriously at all. Even though she was the dignified princess of the Ming Kingdom, she was treated this way. Hearing this, Qi Jing reached out and patted her shoulder in comfort. He knew the current situation in the Yin Kingdom was not optimistic for Qi Ying. The throne had always been a symbol of power. At this critical juncture, whoever married the princess of an enemy nation would lose their chance at the throne. It was precisely for this reason that Qi Ying was unwelcome in the harem. Qi Ying's voice held a hint of melancholy. "Master Qi, can I come visit you often in the future?" Qi Jing was more than happy to hear this. He had been worrying about how to win the female lead's favor and continue the plot. He nodded. "Yes, you can. But things are different now. The place I live is some distance from the palace, so I'm afraid it won't be very convenient. Besides, the current emperor is particularly afraid of death and always keeps his distance from me." As he was thinking, Qi Jing suddenly remembered that the upcoming palace banquet was a key plot point in the original story. In the original story, as soon as the male lead returned to the palace, the emperor held a banquet, officially drawing Sheng Tingwei into the struggle for the throne. This also led to the later plot, where the empress sent people to secretly scheme against the female lead, and Qi Ying saved her, thus deepening their relationship. Thinking of this, Qi Jing felt a bit troubled. In the original story, this part happened when the male and female leads were already in love. But now, their relationship had stalled because of his confession at the stone pavilion in the wasteland. So now, Qi Jing had to find a way to salvage the situation. So he looked at Qi Ying and said seriously, "Princess, Tingwei's sudden confession to me before was actually a joke. Don't take it seriously. Now that he has returned to the Yin Kingdom as a prince, if you still have feelings for him, you must seize the opportunity. Hearing this, Qi Ying was a little excited. Qi Jing gave her a reassuring look that don't worry, I'll help you. Meanwhile, in the Imperial study, Shang Tingwei was meeting with the emperor. Upon returning to the palace, he had only one wish. He only asked to move to Qi Jing's residence and live with his master. That night, Shang Tingwei returned to Weiyang Palace with Bai Li Feng. Qi Jing hurried forward with concern. Did His Majesty give you a hard time today? Shang Tingwei shook his head. Master, you worry too much. Hearing this, Qi Jing breathed a sigh of relief. Just as he was about to go back to his room to rest, Shang Tingwei grabbed him. He bumped into Shang Tingwei's arms. Shang Tingwei whispered to him, I've already petitioned my father. I'll move to Master's residence and live with you from now on. Qi Jing never imagined that his disciple, after entering the palace, would actually ask the emperor to move out and live with him. Although this way he could take care of Tingwei if things continued like this, he wouldn't be able to bring Shang Tingwei and the female lead together. Qi Jing and his party walked back to their lodgings outside the palace. Seeing a vendor selling candied hawthorns, Qi Jing, intrigued, bought 4 skewers. He took one and offered it to Shang Tingwei to try. Shang Tingwei said he had no appetite. At this moment, Bai Li Feng stepped forward and interrupted. Little lady, he's not hungry, but I am. Feed me. Bai Li Feng opened his mouth, about to bite the candied hawthorn in Qi Jing's hand. Seeing this, Shang Tingwei pulled him away. Stay away from my master. And this candied hawthorn is for my master. Unable to get his way with Shang Tingwei, Bai Li Feng approached Qi Jing again to try his luck. Little lady, when we get back to your residence, can I stay next door to you? Before Qi Jing could reply, Shang Tingwei interrupted from behind. No, the room closest to master is mine. The two began to bicker incessantly. Qi Jing found it a bit of a headache. Were these two squabbling like children? Suddenly, a commotion came from the distance. A carriage lost control and crashed into the crowd. Qi Jing quickly shielded Shang Tingwei. Xiao Xin then swiftly cast a spell, summoning a magical barrier to stop the runaway horse. Then, with a musical instrument, she flipped onto the back of the runaway horse and subdued it. Her movements were crisp, efficient, and flowed smoothly, drawing applause from the onlookers. What a capable young lady. At that moment, an elderly man slowly lifted the carriage curtain. Thank you for saving my life, young lady. His voice trailed off as anxious cries came from within the carriage. Master, quickly come see Jiang. He's fainted. An elderly woman helped a young man out of the carriage. Seeing this, Qi Jing stepped forward from behind Bai Li Feng. Elder, please allow me to examine him. The old man, overcome with gratitude, said, Thank you, young lady, for your help. We are from the Lu Prefecture's household. We will certainly repay you handsomely later. Hearing the name Lu Prefecture, Qi Jing's heart skipped a beat. If it was the Lu Prefecture he was thinking of, then the unconscious young man in the carriage must be Lu Jiang, the male lead's future confidant. In the original story, he and Bai Li Feng were the male lead's left and right-hand men. This key figure, she had to save him. Qi Jing instructed Bai Li Feng to lay him flat on the ground. Shang Tingwei was a little worried. He feared that Qi Jing using magic in public would cause panic. Hearing this, Qi Jing gave him a reassuring look. She had another way. Qi Jing planned to use the first aid knowledge she had learned in her previous life, CPR. She placed her hands on the man's chest and began compressions. This action startled the Lu family members standing behind them. Young lady, even if you don't know how to save him, you can't just do anything. Qi Jing ignored them. She placed her ear against the man's chest. After a moment, she heard the sound of his heartbeat returning. Qi Jing smiled and sat up. He's going to be all right. The master would never have imagined that the right-hand man she saved for her disciple would become a rival in love in her disciple's eyes. A few days ago, Qi Jing had just saved Bai Li Feng, the male lead's left-hand man. Now, she had coincidentally encountered Lu Jiang, his right-hand man. What a coincidence! Qi Jing couldn't miss this opportunity. She had gone to great lengths to revive the unconscious Lu Jiang. When Lu Jiang woke up, he found himself in the arms of a strange woman. He was immediately embarrassed. After a moment, his family explained what had happened, and he quickly bowed to Qi Jing to express his gratitude. Looking at Lu Jiang and his grandparents, Qi Jing pondered. She remembered that Lu Jiang was the son of Lu Qing, the minister of the Yin Kingdom's prefecture. However, Lu Qing later married Yao Guang, the princess of Yao Guang and daughter of Prince Ning. In order to marry her, he sacrificed his first wife. life, forcing Lu Qing's birth mother to her death. Lu Qing's parents were utterly disappointed in him and returned to their hometown with the sickly Lu Jiang to recuperate. In the original story, Lu Jiang, despite his illness, traveled to the capital to take the Imperial examination. However, he was ambushed by his stepmother and rescued by the passing male lead. Indebted to him, he pledged his loyalty. After passing the exam, he didn't join the third prince's faction, which his father supported, but instead joined the second prince's, the male lead's, faction. Lu Jiang was stared at intently by Qi Jing, making him feel uncomfortable. After a moment, he turned his head to try and shift his attention. "Young lady, why do you keep staring at me?" At this, Qi Jing snapped back to reality. She took out a sachet and handed it to him. "I see that you look unwell. Please accept this sachet and carry it with you. It contains several medicinal herbs that can alleviate your heart condition." As Qi Jing finished speaking, everyone present looked surprised. In Yinbua, giving a sachet to a man was a woman's way of expressing her love. By Li Feng, standing behind them, teased, "So little Lady Qi likes this type." Hearing this, Qi Jing turned around awkwardly. "What do you mean?" Bai Li Feng laughed and said, "Young lady, if a man accepts a sachet given with romantic intentions, it signifies mutual affection. The next step is to prepare for the wedding banquet." Qi Jing was shocked to hear this. Lu Jiang scratched his head and said embarrassedly, "Young lady, we've only just met. Isn't this a bit too fast?" Qi Jing was petrified. She hadn't known about this custom. This was a huge misunderstanding. At this moment, Shang Tingwei reached out and took the sachet from Qi Jing's hand. "Master, have you forgotten? You promised to give me a sachet before." With these words, the atmosphere subtly shifted. Qi Jing nodded quickly, thinking to herself how grateful she was to Shang Tingwei for rescuing her. Qi Jing quickly recovered. "I apologize. I had forgotten. I embroidered this sachet for my disciple. I'm afraid I can't give it to young Master Lu. I'll just write you a prescription for a restorative tonic instead." Lu Jiang thanked Qi Jing again and wanted to ask her name. However, before Qi Jing could speak, Shang Tingwei interrupted, "We won't meet again anyway, so there's no need for you to know her name." He then pulled Qi Jing away, leaving Lu Jiang standing there, watching their retreating figures, a plan forming in his mind. As soon as Qi Jing got up, she heard Shang Tingwei and Bai Li Feng sparring outside again. Seeing the boys full of energy, Qi Jing couldn't help but smile indulgently. Seeing his master's figure, Shang Tingwei got distracted and Bai Li Feng seized the opportunity. Shang Tingwei lost this sparring match. Qi Jing, seeing this, slowly walked towards them and said good morning. Bai Li Feng immediately started bragging. "Little lady, did you see that? I defeated the second prince." Shang Tingwei, hearing this, retorted, "Bu fu qi, that was just taking advantage of someone's distraction." Qi Jing smiled and replied to Shang Tingwei, "Learn from this, Tinger. Swords have no eyes. Remember never to get distracted when dueling. It's very dangerous." Hearing this, the little disciple couldn't help but pout. It was clearly because of Master that he got distracted. She quickly approached Shang Tingwei and wiped the sweat from his face. Only then did Shang Tingwei stop sulking. He turned his head and softly said, "Thank you, Master." Seeing this scene, Bai Li Feng, standing behind them, was filled with envy. "Little lady, you're biased. I want that too. I want that too." How could Shang Tingwei agree to such special treatment? Before Qi Jing could speak, he directly refused. "Master can only wipe sweat for me." At this moment, Shuyan came to report, "Someone is looking for you outside." At this time, in the living room, Qi Ying was waiting patiently. A moment later, Qi Jing and the other two walked towards her. As soon as they entered, Qi Ying excitedly called out, "Master Qi, I've come to find you." After speaking, her eyes drifted towards Shang Tingwei, and she shyly said, "Second prince, hello." Seeing this, Bai Li Feng teased, "I think this princess came specifically to see you." Happy about it, Shang Tingwei ignored him. Qi Jing, however, wanted to clap her hands in approval. She didn't dare be too obvious about matchmaking the main leads. Bai Li Feng was doing a great job. They had just met with Qi Ying when Shu Yin came to report again. There's another group of people outside. They say they're from the prefecture's residence, bringing a pile of gifts. "Young Master, Lu wishes to speak with you." Qi Jing was surprised. Asterisk, isn't that Lu Jiang? He came to visit so soon. Asterisk. Shang Tingwei was also surprised. A hint of displeasure flashed in his eyes. Asterisk, how hateful. Master is clearly mine. Why is there another stinky man trying to get her attention? Asterisk, thinking this, Sheng Tingwei loudly exclaimed, "Tell them to go back. Master doesn't have time to see them." After these words, Qi Jing hurriedly stopped him. Asterisk, my silly disciple. Your future right-hand man has come to the door. We can't miss this opportunity to win him over. Asterisk. The young master she had saved the day before came to visit the next day and confessed his love at first sight for her. Just now, Lu Jiang, after much effort, had found out Qi Jing's true identity and came to her residence to personally thank her. Qi Jing asked him, "Young Master Lu, now that you know I'm the demoness everyone in the Ying Kingdom talks about with fear, aren't you afraid?" Lu Jiang replied calmly, "The world's definition of good and evil is always based on hearsay. I only believe what I see with my own eyes. The Miss Qi I see is not a villain." Hearing this, Sheng Tingwei said proudly, "Naturally, my master is a good person." Qi Ying, who was at the side, also nodded in agreement. "That's right. Master Qi is beautiful and kind-hearted." Bai Li Feng, opposite them, also added his praise. "In my eyes, little Lady Qi is the treasure of my heart." Qi Jing, overwhelmed by the praise, blushed. Before she could speak, Lu Jiang stood up and offered Sheng Tingwei a toast. "It's truly my honor to drink with His Highness the Second Prince." Sheng Tingwei curtly raised his glass in return. Looking at his cold expression, Qi Jing felt worried. Asterisk, that's Tinger's future confidant. What if he drives him away by being unfriendly? Asterisk. At this moment, Bai Li Feng at the table was unconcerned, focused only on eating. Sheng Tingwei was annoyed. Asterisk, Lu Jiang clearly has ulterior motives toward Master. Bai Li Feng usually opposes me, but now that there's a real opponent, he only knows how to eat. Asterisk. The next moment, Sheng Tingwei and Lu Jiang simultaneously reached out and added a piece of meat to Qi Jing's bowl. Faced with the offerings from both men, the atmosphere became somewhat tense. Qi Jing could only politely refuse both of them that I don't like eating meat. To ease the awkwardness, she turned to Sheng Tingwei and said, "Princess Qi Ying, since you're here, why don't you have this?" Qi Ying was surprised. Why is she suddenly giving it to me? Then Bai Li Feng played the peacemaker. I don't keep pushing it back and forth. If you don't like it, give it to me. I like everything. Qi Jing finally breathed a sigh of relief. Thank goodness for Bai Li Feng. After the meal, Lu Jiang bowed to everyone that we had a pleasant conversation today. I wonder when we can meet again. Sheng Tingwei, hearing this, fumed inwardly. Asterisk, trying to get Master's attention? No way. Asterisk, he refused Lu Jiang directly. It's well known in the court that your father, the current minister of the prefecture, supports the third prince. We are not on the same side, and there's no need to meet again in the future. Lu Jiang calmly replied, "My father and I are different. His stance doesn't represent mine." Only Qi Jing understood Lu Jiang's words. She knew that in the original story, the minister of the prefecture, in order to climb the ranks, repeatedly framed his second wife, Princess Yaoguang. Lu Jiang pretended not to see. If it weren't for the Lu family's elders bringing him back to their hometown, he definitely wouldn't have lived to adulthood. Lu Jiang returned this time for the Imperial examination, also hoping to one day suppress his father with his own power. At this moment, Lu Jiang sighed lightly. To be honest, my father and I have always had differing opinions. The current political climate is corrupt. I, Lu Jiang, have studied diligently for many years, only to establish myself in officialdom and eliminate these corrupt practices, giving the people justice. Hearing this, Sheng Tingwei's expression softened. Qi Jing then chimed in, "That's wonderful. Young Master, Lu has the world in his heart, just like Tinger. You two will certainly become close friends." Sheng Tingwei remained silent. He didn't want to become friends with someone close to his master. Hearing this, Bai Li Feng laughed and said, "I think they do have something in common, just not what little Lady Qi said." Qi Jing looked puzzled. "What is it?" Bai Li Feng deliberately drew out his words. "They both like you." Qi Jing, who was drinking water, choked and couldn't speak. However, he never expected. What happened next? Lu Jiang, blushing, said to him, "Brother Bai is right. Miss Qi, I truly fell for you at first sight." Qi Jing was exasperated that the protagonist's confidants were all falling for him. He smiled wryly and explained to Lu Jiang, "Humans and demons are different. Young Master Lu, please don't joke with me." Lu Jiang, however, replied seriously, "Miss Qi, I believe that the humans and demons are different, saying refers to the way of life, not emotions. As long as two people truly love each other and can overcome all obstacles." Qi Jing smiled and replied, "Young Master Lu's perspective is unique. However, I have no intention of falling in love with a human. I'm afraid I must disappoint you." Hearing this, Sheng Tingwei also felt a bit annoyed. He couldn't understand why every man in the capital was interested in his master. He interjected, "I advise young Master Lu to focus on the upcoming exam and not dwell on romantic matters." Hearing this, Lu Jiang didn't say anything more. He bowed slightly and replied, "Second Prince is right. I was presumptuous. Please forgive me, Miss Qi." Qi Jing waved his hand, telling him not to worry about it. After Lu Jiang left, Qi Jing and his group went out for some fresh air. Bai Li Feng teasingly asked him, "Little Lady Qi, is there any room for negotiation regarding your criteria for a partner? If you don't consider humans, then wouldn't I also have no chance?" Before Qi Jing could answer, Sheng Tingwei grabbed Bai Li Feng, telling him not to pester his master. Qi Jing's feelings were complex. Only he knew that there was a contract between the royal family and the guardian demon. The contract not only sealed most of the guardian demon's power, but also, to prevent the guardian demon from seducing the royal family, restricted them from falling in love with humans. If a guardian demon fell in love with a human while bound by the contract, they would suffer backlash and die. Qi Jing didn't even dare to think about such a life-threatening romance. At this time, Sheng Tingwei, behind Qi Jing, was also lost in thought. He hadn't realized that a demon's partner also had to be a demon. But what demon in this world could be worthy of his master? Thinking of this, he stopped and called out to Qi Ying, who was walking ahead, "Princess Changlu, please wait a moment. I have something to say to you." Hearing this, Qi Jing tactfully quickened his pace and walked forward. His silly disciple finally had a clue. After Qi Jing left, Qi Ying shyly asked, "Second Prince, is there something you wanted to say to me?" Sheng Tingwei then asked casually, "Ming Kingdom's guardian demon, your master, Mo Luan, why haven't I seen him lately?" Qi Ying replied, "Master's been away on business recently. Does Second Prince need something from him?" Sheng Tingwei shook his head, "Nothing. I just wanted to remind you to tell your master to stay away from my master in the future." Qi Ying was confused by these words. A few days later, at Yin Kingdom's founding day celebration, Qi Ying brought Mo Luan to attend. Seeing such a lively scene, Qi Ying was delighted. Mo Luan patted his head. "Ming Kingdom has held many such palace banquets before. There's nothing to be surprised about." At this moment, they heard whispers behind them. People were murmuring about the Ming Kingdom princess who came for a marriage alliance, saying she was behaving inappropriately by holding hands with a man in public. No wonder no prince wanted her. Qi Ying was annoyed by these harsh words. Just then, Qi Jing slowly approached. "This banquet is specifically held by His Majesty for the second prince's investiture ceremony. Moreover, Princess Changlu is a good friend of the second prince. Aren't you all afraid of these gossiping words reaching His Majesty's ears?" Sheng Tingwei also added, "Publicly discussing the royal family is a serious crime." The gossiping women stopped talking and dispersed. Qi Ying was very happy to see them speaking up for him. Mo Luan, behind him, looked over and was surprised. It was actually his disciples. "Master." After his disciple learned that his master had no intention of falling in love with a human, he became wary of Mo Luan, who was also a guardian demon, like Qi Jing. He just didn't expect Mo Luan to appear in front of Qi Jing so soon. Sheng Tingwei felt a pang of inexplicable jealousy. Was this what they called fate? At this moment, Mo Luan noticed a resentful gaze fixed upon him. Suddenly confused, he wondered if he had somehow offended the second prince. That evening, the Emperor of Yin held a palace banquet specifically for Sheng Tingwei's return. The emperor raised his glass to celebrate his return to the palace. Then, Sheng Tingkong, the first prince of Yin, approached Sheng Tingwei and offered him a toast. Sheng Tingwei calmly rose and returned the gesture. After finishing the drink, the third and fourth princes also came over to offer toasts. Seeing this display of brotherly affection, the emperor was very pleased. Across the room, Qi Ying looked at Sheng Tingwei. Seeing the harmonious atmosphere in the hall, she was a little puzzled. She wondered why it was rumored that Emperor Yinbua disliked the second prince and had sent him out of the palace at a young age. Now, it seemed that the second prince was clearly favored. Just before the banquet began, Qi Jing had specifically sought out Qi Ying and told her that someone would try to harm Tingwei at the banquet. As a guardian demon, he couldn't enter the main hall. He could only instruct the princess to keep a close eye on Tingwei's drink during the banquet, in case someone tried to poison it. Seeing the seemingly joyous atmosphere in the palace, Qi Ying began to wonder if Qi Jing was being overly worried. Moreover, with the emperor present, who would dare to harm the second prince? Meanwhile, outside the palace, Qi Jing was extremely anxious. The banquet had already begun, and he didn't know if the female lead was doing as he had instructed. According to the original plot, tonight was a major turning point for the relationship between the male and female leads. In the original story, the empress, in order to suppress the second prince, poisoned Sheng Tingwei's drink at the banquet, attempting to make him lose face publicly. Fortunately, the female lead in the previous life had inadvertently learned of the empress's scheme and intervened in time. Under the influence of the drug, it also naturally led to the first intimate encounter between Sheng Tingwei and Qi Ying. The next day, Sheng Tingwei would ask the emperor for permission to marry Qi Ying. But now, for some reason, even though the plot was progressing as it should, Qi Jing felt a sense of unease. He heard footsteps approaching. Qi Jing was startled. Who would be here at this hour? He turned and saw Mo Wan. Mo Wan walked forward and looked up at the night sky. The night is beautiful tonight. I wonder if this moon also shines upon our Ming kingdom's territory. Hearing this, Qi Jing asked, "Is Master Mo homesick?" Montauk Luan replied indifferently, "Homesick? After the human-demon war, we guardian demons no longer have a home." Qi Jing hadn't expected Mo Luan to be so unsentimental. He countered, "As far as I know, the Ming kingdom has treated Master Mo well. Not only did they allow you to establish a demon army, but they also entrusted Princess Chong Lu to your care. This could be considered immense imperial favor." Mo Luan gave a non-committal response. "Princess Chong Lu is indeed very important to me. That's why I personally accompanied her on this marriage arrangement." Qi Jing smiled superficially and said, "With you here, the marriage alliance between the two countries will surely go smoothly." Inwardly, however, he was criticizing him. He knew that Mo Luan harbored feelings for Qi Ying that went beyond a master-disciple relationship. In the original book, just like Qi Jing, he did everything he could to sabotage the relationship between the male and female leads. Then, Mo Luan curled his lips and replied, "According to the agreement, this marriage won't be discussed again until the youngest fourth prince comes of age. There could be any number of changes during this period." Qi Jing continued to smile and asked, "It sounds like Master Mo isn't optimistic about this marriage alliance." At this, Mo Luan wiped the smile from his face and asked in a low voice, "Are you?" Qi Jing. He continued, "From the incident in the wasteland, I could see your deep affection for the second prince. Can you really bear to watch him marry another woman?" Hearing this, Qi Jing was a little embarrassed. That was just Tingwei's excuse to reject the princess. Master Mo misunderstands. Mo Luan, however, continued to press him. "Don't deceive yourself, Qi Jing. We are both of the demon race. How could I not see through your heart?" He waved his hand, and countless transparent memory bubbles appeared in the hazy night. Mo Luan's voice was cold, but every word struck a chord with Qi Jing. "Look, your heart is already filled with your disciple." At the banquet, the empress drugged Sheng Tingwei's drink, hoping to humiliate him publicly. After a few drinks, Sheng Tingwei began to feel dizzy and wanted to leave. Before he left, the empress didn't forget to have her son escort Sheng Tingwei. Qi Ying watched him being helped away and suddenly remembered what Qi Jing had said before the banquet. Worried, she wanted to follow and see what happened. But the Empress Dowager stopped her, wanting to offer her a toast. Qi Ying had to smile and accept. In the time it took to drink a cup of wine, Sheng Tingwei had already disappeared. The first prince, supporting Sheng Tingwei, walked in the opposite direction of the bedchamber, saying, "Don't worry, I'll take you somewhere to sober up." From a nearby corner, Mo Luan was the first to spot them. He asked Qi Jing, "Isn't that your good disciple?" Qi Jing was shocked. "It really is Tingwei." He looked around for Qi Ying. He had specifically told Qi Ying to keep an eye on Tingwei's movements. But now, Tingwei was drunk and in the first prince's hands. Seeing this, Qi Jing anxiously ended his conversation with Mo Wan. There is nothing improper between Tingwei and me. Master Mo shouldn't joke about our master-disciple relationship in the future. With that, Mo Wan abruptly turned and left. Behind him, Mo Wan watched Qi Jing's departing figure and chuckled softly. The onlooker sees most of the game. The player sees least. The first prince led Sheng Tingwei into a secluded palace. Sheng Tingwei pulled at his collar, repeatedly complaining about the heat and discomfort. The first prince smiled smugly. He reached out and pushed open the door. Inside lay a woman who had removed her clothes. Sheng Tingwei asked in confusion, "Elder brother, why is there a woman in this room?" The first prince revealed a lascivious expression. "This is a special delight I've prepared for you, younger brother. Tonight, the empress originally planned for Sheng Tingwei to be with another consort. This way, the princess who came for the marriage alliance would have no choice but to marry Sheng Tingwei. However, the empress dowager, who has recently been at odds with the empress, has been specifically grooming her own niece, hoping to replace the empress. So the empress changed her plan at the last minute and switched the target to the empress dowager's niece." The first prince shoved the disoriented Sheng Tingwei into the room. Seeing his plan succeed, he only needed to sit back and reap the benefits. At this moment, Qi Jing anxiously ran towards Sheng Tingwei's location. He chanted silently, "Tinger, please don't let anything happen." Meanwhile, at the banquet, which had not yet dispersed, news arrived that Changming Palace was on fire. Hearing this, the emperor and empress anxiously rushed over to see what had happened. When Qi Jing arrived at the palace, what he saw through the window screen were the entangled figures of a man and a woman. But the male protagonist was not Tinger. Although Sheng Tingwei was fine, Qi Jing still felt somewhat responsible. Despite his haste, he had still subjected Tinger to this unpleasant sight. Sheng Tingwei, aware of her master's concern, took his hand and gently comforted him. "Master, don't worry. I'm not afraid." Qi Jing breathed a sigh of relief. It's good that Tinger secretly spit out the wine. Otherwise, the consequences would have been unthinkable. The next moment, Qi Jing was suddenly startled. But how did Tinger know she had been drugged? Heavens, how can a disciple kiss their master's forehead? Just now, Sheng Tingwei was very angry. If he hadn't overheard the conversation between his master and Qi Ying before the banquet, he wouldn't have known that someone would drug his wine. But what Sheng Tingwei couldn't understand was why his master would rather entrust this information to someone else than tell him directly. Facing his disciple's questioning, Qi Jing hesitated. He couldn't very well say that he wanted to further the development of the relationship between the male and female leads. Could he? Seeing his master's hesitant look, Sheng Tingwei became even angrier. He grabbed Qi Jing's hand and pressed him. "Master, you don't care at all about me being intimate with other women. Is it because in your eyes, I will always just be a disciple?" Qi Jing struggled internally. He was starting to become confused about his feelings for Ting. He could only manage to squeeze out, "It's not like that, Tinger. It was my oversight. Please don't be angry, okay?" Sheng Tingwei's expression was very dark. He said coldly, "I don't accept Master's verbal apology. I want Master to pay a price for today's events." Qi Jing was shocked. What price? This was the first time he had seen such a frightening attitude from Tinger. He couldn't help but feel a little scared. The next moment, Sheng Tingwei reached out and pulled Qi Jing into an embrace. Qi Jing's heart raced. He could never have guessed that Tinger would gently kiss his forehead. Then he whispered, "This kiss is to let Master know that besides being your disciple, I am also a normal man." Just as Qi Jing was extremely nervous, a voice rang out from the distance. "The Emperor has arrived." Qi Jing quickly pulled away. He had to take Tinger and hide before the Emperor arrived to avoid being caught up in this drama. Although Qi Jing said this outwardly, he inwardly breathed a sigh of relief. At this moment, the emperor approached and asked why the woodshed had caught fire for no apparent reason. Just as he finished speaking, a woman's voice came from inside the room. The emperor frowned. On the day of the banquet, someone was actually engaging in such indecent behavior. He summoned the guards to investigate. The empress behind him smiled smugly. It seemed her plan had worked. A moment later, a eunuch came to report in a panic, "Your Majesty, the people inside." The people inside, are the first prince and a relative of the Liu family. Mustering immense courage, the eunuch finally managed to speak these words. The empress, hearing this, couldn't believe it. She hurried into the room to see for herself. Seeing the person lying on the bed was indeed her son, the empress nearly fainted. At this moment, the emperor followed from behind. Seeing this scene, he angrily cursed, "You scoundrel! Someone come quickly and separate them." The empress never expected that the trap originally set for Shang Tingwei would instead ensnare the first prince. She hurriedly knelt down and pleaded with the emperor, "Your Majesty, Conger has always been measured in his actions. Someone must be trying to frame him." Upon hearing this, the emperor coldly and mercilessly replied, "Then wake him up and let's hear his explanation." After much calling, the first prince groggily awoke. The emperor sternly questioned, "Look at what you've done." Shang Tingkong gradually regained his senses. Looking back, he was lying naked in bed with a woman. At this moment, the woman was also startled awake by the commotion and hurriedly clutched the blanket to herself, crying, "Assault!" Outside the room, Qi Jing patted Shang Tingwei, signaling the show has begun. "Tinger, go add fuel to the fire." Shang Tingwei's voice still carried a hint of displeasure as he replied, "As you wish." What do they call it? Plotting against someone, but ending up hoist by your own petard. Well, the empress had intended to frame the second prince and make him lose face publicly. But unexpectedly, the protagonist of this embarrassing scene became her own son. The first prince, having just experienced a passionate encounter with the Minister of Revenue's daughter, didn't fully come to his senses until the emperor and his men burst into the room. He realized the gravity of the situation and hurriedly knelt down, pleading with his father, "It was Shang Tingwei who drugged me. Why am I in bed, and why can't I remember anything?" Just as he was racking his brains, Shang Tingwei slowly walked in from outside. Seeing him unharmed, the first prince pointed at him and shouted, "Father, he's trying to frame me." The emperor sternly questioned Shang Tingwei. "Explain where you were just now." Shang Tingwei calmly replied, "I felt dizzy and unwell, so I found a pavilion outside to rest. I only just sobered up and heard the commotion here." Hearing this, the empress was furious. He must have feigned illness at the banquet, deliberately planning to shift the blame. The emperor continued to question, "You left the banquet with Conger. How did you get separated?" Shang Tingwei calmly replied, "While I was resting in the pavilion, elder brother said he had an appointment with a family member and left early." Hearing this, Shang Tingkong flew into a rage, jumping up and shouting lies. "Father, he's trying to frame me. You must believe me." At this point, Shang Tingwei bowed respectfully and said, "Father, it is indeed my fault. If I had known elder brother would make such a grave mistake, I would have stopped him." Shang Tingkong completely lost his composure. "Shang Tingwei, you bastard, stop spouting nonsense." Hearing this, the emperor's face darkened. "Insolent. You call him a bastard? Then what am I?" Showing no mercy, the emperor ordered the guards, "Take the first prince away. 20 lashes and confinement in the dungeon for reflection." Hearing the punishment, the empress couldn't help but plead, "Your Majesty, please calm down. Even if you beat Conger to death, it won't change anything. Why not just make Miss Liu Conger's concubine?" The empress's words were interrupted by a voice from outside. "I disagree." The empress dowager entered the room and sternly said, "This child is the daughter of the Minister of Revenue. How can she be reduced to a concubine?" Seeing the empress dowager's arrival, Miss Liu's face finally showed a hint of relief. The empress dowager walked up to her and comforted her. "Child, don't worry. I will ensure justice for you tonight." The empress dowager was extremely displeased with this matter. Liu Zihan was originally someone she had groomed to enter the imperial harem as a wife, but the empress had ruined it. The empress's face darkened further. She looked towards Qi Jing outside the door. Could it have been him who invited the empress dowager? Seeing Qi Jing, Shang Tingwei walked over to his side. "Master, did you invite the empress dowager?" Qi Jing nodded slightly. "They went to great lengths to harm you." "Of course, I had to teach them a lesson. The real show starts now, when they turn on each other." The empress dowager, supporting the sobbing Miss Liu, addressed the emperor. "The matter has come to this. Your Majesty, grant them marriage. Let the first prince marry this child as his official wife." The empress naturally refused. The empress dowager saw right through her. After such a scandal, the empress isn't thinking about how to handle it properly. "Don't tell me you still want to keep the position of principal wife open to curry favor with the court officials." The emperor sounded tired and impatient. "Enough. The first prince has behaved improperly. He is confined for 1 month. The Minister of Revenue's daughter, Lu Zihan, will become the first prince's official wife. The Empress Dowager will handle the rest. With that, the emperor left without further delay. However, he paused briefly as he passed Qi Jing. Sheng Tingwei was puzzled. The father's look at master just now was rather strange. The matter settled. The master and disciple walked out of the palace. After experiencing this palace intrigue, Sheng Tingwei felt somewhat melancholic. Master, will I also become like them in the future? Qi Jing shook his head confidently. You won't. He believed that with him by Tingnu's side, he would definitely become a wise and virtuous ruler. Just then, Sheng Tingwei suddenly began to cough violently. Qi Jing quickly reached out to support him. Sheng Tingwei's face flushed crimson. His breathing became rapid. Master, he gasped, the aphrodisiac that IT hasn't been completely purged. I'm so hot. His disciple, overwhelmed by the aphrodisiac, was losing control. As his master, he naturally had to sacrifice himself. But Qi Jing, a single man with only theoretical knowledge and no practical experience, how could he possibly help? Just moments ago, he had finally managed to get the flushed and feverish Sheng Tingwei back to his bedroom. Seeing Tingwei in such distress, Qi Jing couldn't bear to leave him like this. Sheng Tingwei, frowning on the bed, kept calling out, Master, I feel so uncomfortable. Qi Jing leaned closer to comfort him, wanting to reassure him. He hadn't expected Tingwei to be so clingy under the influence of the drug. Feeling the heat radiating from him, Qi Jing was startled by how hot he was. He got up to fetch some cold water to wipe him down, but Tingwei wouldn't let him go. He hugged Qi Jing from behind and whispered, Master, don't go. Don't leave me. Sheng Tingwei was leaning so close that Qi Jing's face flushed. I'm just going to get some water, he said. I'll be right back. Sheng Tingwei held Qi Jing even tighter. I don't want to be separated from Master, not even for a moment. I just want to melt you into my body and be together forever. Hearing these words, Qi Jing's heart raced. This is bad, he thought. Tingwei is starting to talk nonsense. It seems the aphrodisiac is really taking hold. Qi Jing turned around, hoping to bring him back to his senses, but in the next moment, Sheng Tingwei forcefully pulled him down. He then rolled over, pinning Qi Jing beneath him on the bed. Qi Jing nervously reminded him, Tingwei, this is wrong. I'm your master. Sheng Tingwei, hearing this, gently caressed his face, then stopped being my master. He looked up at Qi Jing with a serious expression. Qi Jing, you're so beautiful. I wanted to touch you like this for a long time. No longer as your disciple. Being by your side has been agonizing. Qi Jing, perhaps I should have severed our master-disciple relationship long ago. Qi Jing felt the man's breath hot against his ear and spoke urgently. Tingwei, don't be impulsive. Let me go first. Sheng Tingwei looked at him, a look of anguish in his eyes. But I'll hurt if I leave you. Qi Jing asked worriedly, where does it hurt? Sheng Tingwei honestly took Qi Jing's hand and placed it below his waist. Here. Qi Jing's face burned even brighter. Sheng Tingwei continued to whisper Qi Jing's name. My body and soul are crying out for you. Can you feel it? Qi Jing nervously pulled his hand away, unable to reply. But looking up at Tingwei's pained expression, he couldn't bear it. With a sigh, he decided, forget it, stop lying to myself. Qi Jing took the initiative and kissed Sheng Tingwei. Perhaps he, too, had already fallen. The next morning, Sheng Tingwei was awakened by the bright sunlight. His head was pounding. He looked around for Qi Jing. Just then, Bai Li Feng, leaning against the doorframe, asked him calmly, you're awake. How are you feeling? The drug has worn off, hasn't it? Sheng Tingwei asked, confused. Why are you here? Where's my master? Bai Li Feng walked into the room and continued, Master Qi took care of you until midnight. He went out to Yishan. His face flushed as he spoke. A suggestive look spread across Bai Li Feng's face. Tell me you didn't take advantage of your own master last night, did you? Recalling the events of the previous night, Sheng Tingwei couldn't believe it was real. He had actually taken his master's virginity. He even wondered if it was all a dream. Meanwhile, early that morning, Qi Ying and Mo Luan sought out Qi Jing. Qi Ying apologized, saying he had failed Qi Jing's instructions last night and put Sheng Tingwei in danger. He was deeply remorseful. Qi Jing waved his hand, signaling him not to worry. Tingwei is fine now. Qi Jing smiled on the surface, but inside he was still in a daze. He remembered how he and Tingwei had been entangled until late into the night, how he had lost control in the end. Even more frightening was the thought that perhaps it wasn't so bad. Kijing smiled y. After what had happened, he didn't know how he would face Tingwei again. Seeing the dark circles under Qi Jing's eyes and his exhausted appearance, Mo Luan commented softly, "Master Qi, you didn't get much rest last night, did you?" Qi Jing explained awkwardly, "I was taking care of Tingwei until late, so I didn't sleep much." Qi Ying, overhearing this, expressed his concern. "Master Qi, I see some red marks on your neck. Are there a lot of mosquitoes here?" Qi Jing froze for a moment before realizing what Qi Ying meant. They must have been left by his disciples' kisses. Pulling up his collar, Qi Jing fanned himself and replied, "Yes, there are a lot of mosquitoes here at night." Hearing this, Qi Ying kindly offered, "Next time, I'll have someone send over some specially made mosquito repellent from the Republic." Qi Jing thanked him with a smile. His heart was a whirlwind of emotions. Had he just had a tryst with the male lead and been caught red-handed by the female lead? However, Qi Ying seemed oblivious to the situation, while Mo Luan was clearly aware of everything. He spoke softly from behind them. "A bite from an insect is a good omen, but a bite from a person, that's a bit more complicated. What do you think, Master Shi?" Shi Jing awkwardly nodded and replied, "Master Mo is right." He understood Mo Luan's perceptive nature and knew he must have suspected something. Just then, Sheng Tingwei, having adjusted his attire, arrived. Seeing him, Qi Jing quickly stood up and asked, "Tinger, how are you feeling now? Are you unwell?" Qi Jing tried to maintain composure, feigning ignorance of what had transpired. He told himself to stay calm and interact as he normally would. Sheng Tingwei looked at Qi Jing and offered a reassuring glance. "Master, don't worry, I'm fine." His gaze then shifted towards Mo Luan, who bowed slightly to him. Seeing this, a look of displeasure crossed Sheng Tingwei's face. "Why is he here?" Qi Ying stepped forward to explain, "Second Prince, last night I intended to leave with you, but the Empress kept me back." Before Qi Ying could finish, Sheng Tingwei interrupted, "Princess, there's no need to explain yourself to me. I don't mind." Qi Ying sighed softly, looking somewhat dejected. Shi Jing suggested, "Since everyone is here, why don't we have brunch together?" Sheng Tingwei shook his head. Qi Jing was puzzled. At that moment, Bai Li Feng, who had accompanied Sheng Tingwei, stepped forward to explain that a eunuch just arrived from the palace. He said the Empress has fallen ill and the first prince is confined. The second prince is summoned to the palace. Hearing this, Qi Jing's heart sank. This was part of the original story's plot. The inevitable had arrived. The Empress's sudden illness and summons of the second prince were merely a pretext for revenge. Thinking of this, Qi Jing reached out and took Sheng Tingwei's hand. "I'll go with you." The Empress, seeking personal revenge, is using her sudden illness as an excuse to summon the second prince. She'll claim her illness is beyond the Imperial physician's abilities and demand that the prince kneel day and night, hoping to move the heavens and bring about her recovery. But Qi Jing, having foreseen this, wouldn't allow Tinger to be subjected to the Empress's abuse. As soon as the Empress ordered Sheng Tingwei to kneel, Qi Jing arrived. He calmly announced, "I've heard that your majesty is unwell and that the Imperial physicians are at a loss. The Emperor has specifically sent me to examine you." The Empress's face darkened. She knew this demoness must have learned of her plan to deal with the second prince and had sought the Emperor's intervention. Qi Jing looked at the Empress and stated seriously, "I sense a strong, evil energy in your palace, your majesty. You've likely been possessed by an evil spirit." The Empress furiously retorted, "Nonsense. I am the Empress, blessed by fortune. How could I be possessed by an evil spirit?" Qi Jing narrowed his eyes and replied with a smile, "Your Majesty, I am a guardian demon. I wouldn't be mistaken. This palace is filled with resentment. Countless wronged souls are clinging to you, draining your life force." The Empress's face turned pale. A maid beside her suddenly gasped, "Your Majesty, your face." Panic seized the Empress. She quickly grabbed a mirror. Her face was covered in boils. The Empress was in disbelief. Just moments ago, she had been fine. It had to be Qi Jing's doing. Qi Jing calmly explained, "Your Majesty, this is a manifestation of the evil spirit. It's causing these boils to erupt. To eradicate the evil spirit, you must find peace. As long as your heart is free from malice and resentment, the spirit will gradually dissipate. Otherwise, The consequences will be dire. The empress was terrified. She had only intended to feign illness and punish the second prince, not inflict a real ailment upon herself. Seeing the empress's state, Qi Jing continued, "The best course of action now is for your majesty to visit the ancestral temple and pray for blessings." The empress, now desperate, immediately ordered a palanquin to the temple and hurried away. Watching her depart, Qi Jing smirked. She wanted Tinger to kneel? Let her do the kneeling herself. He walked over and helped Sheng Tingwei up. Sheng Tingwei was astonished. Did Master cause the Empress's sudden affliction? Qi Jing shook his head that a clear conscience never fears midnight knocking. I merely employed a little trickery, triggering her inner fears. People are susceptible to illness under such circumstances. A flicker of worry crossed Sheng Tingwei's eyes. Master, you've made an enemy of her. Once she recovers and thinks things through, she will surely retaliate. Hearing this, Qi Jing took Sheng Tingwei's hand. If I hadn't made her suffer, she would have tormented you. You are my disciple. Naturally, I will protect you. Meeting Qi Jing's earnest gaze, Sheng Tingwei shyly turned his head. Master, since I woke up, strange fragments have been appearing in my mind. I don't know if it was a dream or reality. We seem to have done something that went beyond the boundaries of a master and disciple. I forced myself to look away, not daring to meet his gaze. His voice became urgent. This must be a dream. Last night, after the medicine took effect, you came back and fell asleep. You must know, the relationship between master and disciple cannot be crossed. Qi Jing said these words, but it sounded more like he was saying them to himself. He told himself he couldn't be greedy. Sheng Tingwei belonged to the female lead. This painful affection absolutely could not be known by Tinger. On the other side of the Imperial Palace, the Emperor breathed a sigh of relief after learning from Qi Jing that the Empress had been tricked and the second prince was safe. He had planted goo poison in Sheng Tingwei's mind, borrowing his body to prolong his own life. But the Z bone within Sheng Tingwei's body would reach maturity in 15 years and gradually sever the connection with the Mu bone within the Emperor's body. Now the time had come. The soul transfer technique had to be flawless. The Emperor had waited 15 years. Soon, he would be able to take over Sheng Tingwei's body and live for several more decades. No one could take his empire away from him. The original female lead saw the male lead off for the Imperial examination. Sheng Tingwei, however, felt sulky seeing Qi Jing hovering around his master all day long. Qi Jing offered him a delicate ink stick from Mo, saying it was to help him achieve top honors in the exam. Sheng Tingwei refused it outright. At this moment, Mo Luan stepped forward to mediate. Your Highness, the examination hall is full of hidden dangers. There are often unscrupulous individuals who mix harmful substances into ink to frame candidates. This ink stick Princess Qi Jing is giving you is produced in Minghua. The ink material is pure and absolutely safe. Hearing this, Qi Jing also recalled the plot from the original book. It was precisely because Sheng Tingwei received the ink stick from the female lead that he was spared from the exam's conspiracy. Lu Jiang, who took the exam at the same time, was framed by the tainted ink and nearly failed to make the list. Thinking of this, Qi Jing prompted Sheng Tingwei to accept the ink box from Qi Jing. He spoke softly to him and then stepped back. Suddenly, a woman's cries were heard. She claimed her husband had committed suicide and his examination tribute had disappeared. She knelt and begged the examiners to investigate the truth for her. Bai Li Feng was enraged upon hearing this. He indignantly said, most of the examinees are scholars. Her husband probably just abandoned his wife after achieving success in the exam. Hearing Bai Li Feng's words, Qi Jing felt pity for the woman and urged Qi Jing to help. Mo Luan, however, reminded him not to act rashly before the matter was investigated. Seeing this, Sheng Tingwei stepped forward, holding his token and questioning the guards. The guards of the Gonyuan, recognizing the second prince's token, immediately knelt down. They hurriedly replied, this woman is a lunatic. She comes here to cause trouble every year during the spring examination. The husband she speaks of is actually a figment of her imagination. Sheng Tingwei raised an eyebrow and retorted, how do you know she's fabricating this? Is there any proof? The guards continued. When she first came to cause trouble, examiner Lu Shoufu investigated all the candidates thoroughly. There was no one named Wu Yiren as her husband. As the guard finished speaking, the woman suddenly embraced Sheng Tingwei's leg. She seemed to be clinging to her last hope, begging the second prince to uphold justice for her. She also pulled out a letter claiming it was left to her by her husband during a previous spring examination. Seeing this, Qi Jing stepped forward and said, "Calm down, please. Let go of the second prince and tell us slowly." The woman stopped her outburst and knelt respectfully. She slowly said, "My husband has taken a spring examination more than 10 times. Even if he didn't pass, he should have a name registered. How could there be no record of him?" Hearing this, Qi Jing also felt that something was amiss. He suspected it might be related to Lu Shoufu and the third prince's faction. Sheng Tingwei agreed. Perhaps this was the reason the emperor specifically sent him to participate in the examination. Qi Jing turned to Bai Li Feng and instructed him to take the woman back to his residence. The time had come. This matter will be thoroughly investigated after Ting'er finishes the exam. Sheng Tingwei looked at Qi Jing earnestly. "Master, wait for me to bring back the top honors for you." He had made up his mind. By then, he would confess his almost uncontainable feelings to his master. The disciple looked at his mother, who was taking his measurements for new clothes, and couldn't help but murmur, "I'm not small anymore." Qi Jing didn't understand what he meant. He looked out puzzled. The current Sheng Tingwei was already a head taller than him. Sheng Tingwei looked down at Qi Jing and replied, "It's nothing." His heart raced. He hadn't realized before how petite his master actually was. He reached out and brushed a strand of hair from Qi Jing's face. "Master, I have something to tell you." He wanted to confess the feelings he had yet to express. Sheng Tingwei mustered his courage and began, "Actually, I feel for you." However, his words were interrupted by Li Feng's shouts in the distance. Sheng Tingwei suppressed his anger and looked back. Such a perfect moment ruined. He would kill Bai Li Feng one day. Just then, the woman chased by Bai Li Feng ran to him and knelt down with a thud. She pleaded with the second prince and Qi Jing to uphold justice for her. Sheng Tingwei was surprised. Wasn't this the same woman from the Gonyuan gates earlier? It turned out Bai Li Feng hadn't actually explained. After he was brought back to the residence that day, Bai Li Feng questioned him thoroughly. His husband had disappeared after participating in the Chunwei exam 6 years prior. The examiners, however, told him that there was no record of such a candidate. He feigned madness in front of the officials to save his life. At this point, the woman presented the evidence she had. It was a letter from her husband before the Chunwei exam. He wrote that he was hopeful of placing high and asked her to come to the capital. But when she arrived in the capital, her husband had vanished. The chief examiner at the time, Lu Shoufu, told her that her husband hadn't participated in the Chunwei at all. This was a blatant deception. At this point, the woman pleaded with them, utterly helpless. She implored the two officials to uphold justice for her. Sheng Tingwei helped her up, saying, "Please rise. We will not stand idly by." He realized the gravity of the situation. Someone capable of erasing a candidate's records was no ordinary person. This matter was undoubtedly connected to Lu Shoufu. Lu Shoufu was part of the third prince's faction. This was a serious matter. Sheng Tingwei understood that a thorough investigation was necessary. Just then, Shuiyan hurried in to report that Lu Erlang had sent a message. Young Master Lu had suddenly fallen gravely ill and requested Qi Jing to come to the residence to treat him. Sheng Tingwei's expression darkened. Why is that Lu Jiang bothering Master again? Qi Jing, however, felt this was a timely opportunity. A legitimate reason to enter the Lu residence had presented itself. While treating Lu Jiang, they could investigate his father, Lu Shoufu's study. Worried about Lu Jiang's condition, Qi Jing hurried off. Sheng Tingwei felt a pang of jealousy. He didn't understand why Qi Jing would repeatedly help the Lu family. He already disliked Qi Jing caring for other men, especially the son of Lu Shoufu, who was aligned with the third prince. Qi Jing looked at Sheng Tingwei reassuringly. "Don't worry. I'll explain everything when I return." Qi Jing focused, gathering spiritual energy in their chest. With a whoosh, the spiritual energy flowed, gradually entering Lu Jiang's body. Lu Jiang's complexion improved, but Qi Jing suddenly shuddered, coughing up blood. Seeing this, Sheng Tingwei rushed to Qi Jing's side, worriedly asking about their condition. Qi Jing, now weakened from the exertion, replied softly, I'm all right. It's just that Lu Zhang's condition was so severe, it drained a lot of my spiritual energy. Whenever I overuse my spiritual energy, I suffer backlash from the contract. Just then, Lu Jiang, lying in bed, opened his eyes. Qi Jing said happily, Young Master Lu, you're finally awake. Lu Jiang looked confused. Master Qi, why are you at my house? Am I still dreaming? Sheng Tingwei interrupted. Wake up. Your grandparents specifically requested Master to come and save you. Hearing this, Lu Jiang struggled to sit up, his face full of gratitude. Master Qi, you've saved me twice now. Such great kindness, I can never repay. From now on, I am at your service. Qi Jing smiled. If you truly wish to repay me, then please pledge your loyalty to the second prince. He is the most righteous person I know. He has just returned to the palace and is in a vulnerable position. I hope you can assist him. Without hesitation, Lu Jiang extended his hand and swore, I will devote my life to serving His Highness the second prince. Seeing this, Sheng Tingwei's anger dissipated and the tension between them eased. Their relationship had thawed. Qi Jing finally breathed a sigh of relief. At that moment, Lu Shoufu, worried about his son's illness and having just summoned the Imperial physician, ran into Qi Ying and Mo Luan. Upon learning of Lu Zhang's illness, Qi Ying kindly brought Mo Luan along to treat him. However, as soon as they entered, they saw that Lu Jiang had regained consciousness thanks to Qi Jing's treatment. Qi Ying hadn't expected to run into Qi Jing again. Qi Jing greeted her warmly. I didn't expect Master Qi to be here as well. Lu Shoufu bowed respectfully to Sheng Tingwei, Your Highness, second prince. He hadn't expected that old Master Lu would invite the second prince. If the third prince were to find out, there would be trouble. Seeing Lu Shoufu's hesitant expression, Qi Jing spoke. Young Master Lu hasn't fully recovered. Just in case, the second prince and I will stay here tonight. They had a plan. They couldn't leave empty-handed this time. They had to seize this opportunity to find evidence of Lu Shoufu and the third prince's shady dealings. Hearing this, old Madame Lu and Lu Jiang immediately agreed. Lu Shoufu, however, was extremely reluctant. He tried to decline politely. Thank you, Master Qi, but please don't trouble yourself any further with my son. I'll see you and His Highness back to rest. Lu Shoufu was worried about being exposed. Qi Ying, however, couldn't resist stirring things up. She looked expectantly at Qi Jing. Master Qi and the second prince are staying the night? Then I want to stay too. As soon as she finished speaking, both Sheng Tingwei and Mo Luan simultaneously shouted no. Qi Ying felt wrong that both men refused to let her stay. Master won't let me stay at their house, and now you won't let me stay here. How am I supposed to make friends? Montauk Luan replied softly. Qi Ying didn't hear him. Doesn't the Holy Prince want you to stay either? Qi Ying lowered her head, looking disappointed. Mo Luan reached out and patted her head. Everything Master does is for your own good. Besides, we'll be able to return to the Republic soon. Hearing the news of going home, Qi Ying's expression brightened. Everything was proceeding according to Mo Luan's plan. He first sent someone to offer medicine to the empress of the Yin Kingdom. As a result, the first prince was confined. Sheng Tingwei became a thorn in the empress's side. But then, he used the Imperial examination scandal to point the finger at the third prince. Taking advantage of the situation without lifting a finger, he caused internal strife among the princes of the Yin Kingdom. When they are in chaos, it will be the perfect opportunity for the Republic to attack the Yin Kingdom. Then Inger won't have to sacrifice her own happiness for a marriage alliance. Thinking of this, Mo Luan's lips curled into a smile. No one could take Inger away from him. Inger would always be his alone. Meanwhile, at the Lu residence, Sheng Tingwei and Qi Jing arrived at Lu Shoufu's study, hoping to find evidence of his collusion with the third prince in manipulating the Imperial examinations. The study door was locked tight. Sheng Tingwei was puzzled. He didn't know if Lu Shoufu was stupid or doing this deliberately. Locking the door like this was just too suspicious. Seeing this, Qi Jing reached out to use magic to unlock it. Tinger, be careful. This could be a trap. With a click, the lock fell. However, After searching the study for a long time, the two found nothing unusual. Sheng Tingwei suspected that Lu Qingting had probably moved the official documents in advance. Qi Jing, however, felt that this might not be the case. After all, according to the typical cliché plot, key clues were always discovered by the male lead by accident. Sure enough, the next moment, Sheng Tingwei casually picked up a book and a buzzing sound came from the bookcase. The mechanism was triggered and a hidden compartment appeared. The cliché plot never lies. With the male lead's halo, the hidden compartment was discovered by Sheng Tingwei just like that. Sheng Tingwei took the book inside and opened it, only to find it was filled with blank pages. Qi Jing, seeing this, used magic, and the writing appeared out of thin air. It recorded all of Lu Qingting's bribery and manipulation of the Imperial examination. The evidence was in hand. We shouldn't stay here long. Qi Jing had just pulled Sheng Tingwei towards the wall when two figures appeared at the door. Master and disciple exchanged glances. This wasn't good. It was Lu Qingting. Qi Jing panicked and opened the hidden bookcase door. Quickly, hide inside. However, the space in the bookcase was narrow. Both of them squeezing in meant they had to press close together, face to face, to barely close the door. At this moment, Lu Qingting, reaching the door, saw the fallen lock and flew into a rage, berating the servants for their negligence. Inside the bookcase, Qi Jing was being pressed closer and closer by Sheng Tingwei. He turned his head away, wanting Sheng Tingwei to move over a bit. Sheng Tingwei, blushing slightly, replied seriously, "Master, don't move. Otherwise, I can't guarantee what will happen next." Qi Jing lowered his head and said nothing more. Being so close, could he be doing this on purpose? The next moment, the door was pushed open by Lu Qingting and his men. Search the place. Qi Jing peeked through the crack in the bookcase door. He seemed to sense Lu Qingting's malicious gaze. His heart skipped a beat. Had they been discovered? Then, Lu Qingting's footsteps moved towards the bookcase. Inside, Sheng Tingwei and Qi Jing both held their breath, not daring to move. What should they do? Master and disciple hid in the cabinet to avoid the search. The cabinet door was about to be opened. Qi Jing's heart was in his throat. In this situation, he could only use his demonic powers again to escape with Tinger. But he had already overused his powers today and suffered the backlash. Doing it again, he didn't know if his body could handle it. But thinking of Tinger by his side, Qi Jing's gaze became resolute. He gathered his magic. No matter what, Tinger couldn't be discovered. Just as Qi Jing was about to cast the spell, a woman's shout came from the doorway. "Lu Qingting, come out here." Lu Qingting, who was about to open the bookcase, was startled. He turned around to see his wife, Yao Guang's princess consort, Xuan Mingwei. She had learned that Lu Jiang had brought the second prince and the demoness into the house. Furious, she berated Lu Qingting. What would the third prince and the empress dowager think if they learned of this? Xuan Mingwei was seething with anger. She felt that her stepson, Lu Jiang, was a traitor. Lu Qingting could only try to appease and comfort his wife, escorting her back to her room. They left the study. Qi Jing and Sheng Tingwei finally breathed a sigh of relief inside the cabinet, having escaped disaster. Qi Jing immediately turned and said, "Tinger and the others have left. We should hurry and leave too." However, Sheng Tingwei held Qi Jing back. "Master, wait. Lu Qingping is cunning. He'll likely send someone back. It's best we don't act rashly for now." Within the narrow confines of the cabinet, Sheng Tingwei pulled Qi Jing closer, a selfish desire he couldn't voice. "Let's stay a little longer. Just a little while longer." Sheng Tingwei savored Qi Jing's presence. Time alone with his master was truly rare. Pressed closer and closer, Qi Jing gently pushed against Sheng Tingwei, trying to make him move back. But Sheng Tingwei refused to budge. "Don't move." He changed the subject, asking, "Tomorrow the Imperial examination results will be posted. If I place first, will Master grant me a request?" Qi Jing asked, puzzled, "What request?" A flicker of anticipation flashed in Sheng Tingwei's eyes. "It's a secret for now, Master. You'll find out when the time comes. Will you promise me?" Qi Jing remembered the results of the Imperial examination from the original story. The male lead, Lu Jiang, had placed second, losing to the protagonist. Thinking of this, Qi Jing readily agreed. He knew that no matter what, Tinger wouldn't achieve the top spot, but he was very curious about the request. Under Qi Jing's influence, Sheng Tingwei successfully took Lu Jiang as his consort. Lu Jiang had long known that his father had done many unsavory things for the third prince. After gaining Sheng Tingwei's trust, he confessed his feelings. He knew that his family's collusion with the Empress Dowager and Prince Ning was not righteous, and that sooner or later they would face their doom. He only asked that Sheng Tingwei, in the future, spare his grandparents. Sheng Tingwei saw Lu Jiang's loyalty and filial piety. He took out the ledger he had just found and handed it to Lu Jiang. "This is the ledger of your father's bribery. Now you give it to the Empress." Lu Jiang was puzzled. "Wouldn't it be better for your highness to give this directly to the emperor?" Sheng Tingwei told him, "Before we have a firm grasp on Prince Ning's faction, Father Emperor won't easily move against the Lu family. Doing so now would only make things more difficult for you." Lu Jiang was a perceptive person. He understood Sheng Tingwei's meaning halfway through. The next day, the Imperial examination results were posted. The area in front of the Imperial list was bustling with activity. Bai Lifeng stood in front of Qi Jing, acting as a shield. Sheng Tingwei, however, felt this was unnecessary. After all, his master had him for protection. He put his arm around Qi Jing, saying in a charming voice, "Master, don't worry. I won't let anyone jostle you." Qi Jing blushed at his words, but Sheng Tingwei didn't know that it was his gentle treatment that made Qi Jing even more worried. Unknowingly, his little apprentice had grown so tall. Whenever he was by his side, Qi Jing felt inexplicably at ease. Even now, he couldn't simply see him as just a disciple. They reached the Imperial list. As expected, both Lu Jiang and Sheng Tingwei's names were on it. Shui Yin excitedly reported, "Young Master Lu, first place. Second Prince, second place." Hearing this, Qi Jing smiled happily that I knew Tinger would succeed. Sheng Tingwei, however, was somewhat disappointed. Second place. He had actually lost to his newly acquired rival in love. This meant he couldn't voice his request to his master. Seeing his dejected look, Qi Jing reached out and gently stroked his head, comforting him. "It's all right. Tinger, you've already done very well." After comforting his disciple, he turned to congratulate Lu Jiang. "Congratulations, young Master Lu, on winning first place." Dang! Below the Imperial list, a worker struck a gong and announced, "By order of His Majesty, the newly appointed scholars are summoned for an audience. A father wants to take over his son's body, simply because they fell in love with the same woman." A moment ago, the examination results were posted. Sheng Tingwei achieved the rank of Tanhua and was summoned by the emperor. However, Qi Jing didn't accompany him to the palace. Halfway there, Qi Jing stopped. Sheng Tingwei was puzzled. "Master, why aren't you accompanying me to see Father Emperor? My achievements today are largely thanks to your guidance." Qi Jing shook his head. "All of this is what Tinger earned yourself." He urged Sheng Tingwei to continue onward. Qi Jing knew that the current emperor of the Yin Kingdom had always disliked him. He absolutely couldn't hold Sheng Tingwei back. In the original story, Qi Jing was a mortal possessing powerful magic. He was the sharpest sword in the hands of successive emperors. But at the same time, many emperors had coveted his beauty. The current emperor, Shengyu, was one of them. He had lost his mother at a young age and was bullied by those with ulterior motives in the imperial harem. During his loneliest and most difficult times, he met Qi Jing. Under Qi Jing's protection, he grew up and even developed inappropriate feelings for him. Until he reached adulthood, he mustered the courage to confess to Qi Jing, swearing that once he became emperor, he would dissolve Qi Jing's contract and marry him, making him his empress. But Qi Jing politely refused that a mortal's lifespan is as fleeting as a mayfly. "If you can achieve immortality, then I will agree. Otherwise, even if you dissolve my guardian demon contract, you won't be able to protect me forever." It was precisely because Qi Jing rejected Sheng Yu's confession that Sheng Yu's first act upon becoming emperor was to banish him from the palace to the wasteland. Thinking of this, Qi Jing felt somewhat melancholic. Emperors have always been heartless. When Tinger becomes emperor, who knows if he will still be willing to spare him? Sheng Tingwei entered the emperor's study alone. After exchanging a few pleasantries with Sheng Yu, he had someone bring in a bowl of medicinal soup. He said he'd heard Tinger wasn't feeling well and had specially asked the Iran pavilion master to prepare it. Sheng Tingwei was somewhat surprised. Why would his father suddenly care about his health? Seeing his hesitant expression, Sheng Yu asked, "Could it be that you think I want to harm my own son?" Hearing this, Sheng Tingwei quickly replied, "This subject wouldn't dare," and accepted the bowl of medicine, drinking it all in one gulp. However, just after finishing it, Sheng Tingwei felt his head swell and his body weaken. The next moment, he fainted in front of the Iran pavilion master. The pavilion master addressed the emperor, "Your Majesty, this subject can now deal with the Zigu within the second prince." At this moment, whether in an illusion or a dream, Sheng Tingwei arrived at an empty, desolate place. A familiar dark shadow appeared before him, laughing. Sheng Tingwei remembered him. Wasn't this the con man who had cheated him and his master out of 10 years of affection? The dark shadow, Qing Yin, was quite indignant. "This was a transaction you willingly entered into. And if it weren't for me, how would you have seen the future outcome between you and your master?" Hearing this, Sheng Tingwei recalled that future, the terrifying image of himself pulling his master's hair, wanted to turn him into a human stick. Sheng Tingwei suddenly awoke. He sat up abruptly in bed and saw Qi Jing looking at him with a worried expression. Seeing his master now unharmed, Sheng Tingwei gently caressed him. The scenes from his memory still left him trembling with fear. He embraced his master tightly. "I remember everything, Shizuan." He held the most cherished person in his arms. That kind of future would never happen again. In this life, he would give everything to protect his master. In order to claim his master for himself, Sheng Tingwei told Qi Jing that in the future, they not only married but also had a son and a daughter. A moment ago, Sheng Tingwei had awakened from a nightmare. This time, however, he unexpectedly recovered his lost feelings. He reached out and gently touched his master's face, his expression full of apology. "Master, I'm sorry. When I was in the illusion, the fox demon took away my 10 years of affection for you. That's why I was so cold to you during that time. It was my fault." Qi Jing softly comforted him. "That wasn't your fault. Master doesn't blame you. But I heard you made a deal with the fox demon to glimpse our future. Tinger, can you tell me what you saw in the future?" Qi Jing's heart was filled with trepidation. He wanted to know if his future self would still die at the hands of the male lead. Hearing this, Sheng Tingwei rubbed Qi Jing's head. In the future, I ascended to the throne with your assistance, and I also dissolved your contract. Everything was wonderful." Sheng Tingwei told himself he must never let his master know about that terrifying future. He had to rewrite the tragedy. Upon hearing that he wouldn't die tragically in the future, Qi Jing joyfully embraced Sheng Tingwei. That's wonderful. That's truly wonderful." Sheng Tingwei blushed slightly, "But I also saw myself proposing to you." Blushing, Qi Jing asked, "And what was my answer?" Sheng Tingwei leaned closer to Qi Jing and whispered, "You accepted my proposal. Then we got married. Not long after, you even bore me a little prince and a little princess." Hearing this, Qi Jing nervously grasped Sheng Tingwei's hand. His resolve wavered. His selfish desire no longer wanted to push Tinger away. Qi Jing softly said, "Tinger, you mustn't deceive master." Sheng Tingwei looked at Qi Jing, his expression serious. "I promise you, all of this will come true. Also, I haven't seen you as my master for a long time. I no longer enjoy the constraints of our master-disciple relationship. In my eyes, you are not master, but simply Qi Jing." Sheng Tingwei looked at Qi Jing and whispered, "Can I kiss you?" Qi Jing lowered his head, his eyes flickering, unsure how to respond. Sheng Tingwei continued, "If you don't say anything, I'll take that as a yes." The next moment, Sheng Tingwei leaned closer to Qi Jing, lifted his chin, and kissed him. "Qi Jing, you are mine, and always will be." After a moment, Sheng Tingwei released Qi Jing. "So, are we officially together now?" Qi Jing's heart pounded. He had actually kissed Tinger while conscious. Qi Jing vaguely asked what kind of relationship they had. Sheng Tingwei stared intently at Qi Jing, wanting more of that kind of relationship. Ever since they confirmed their master-disciple relationship, they had been inseparable day and night. Sheng Tingwei wanted to be close to Qi Jing every time he saw him. The weather was lovely today. He and Qi Jing basked in the sun and enjoyed the breeze together, comfortable and happy. But if possible, Sheng Tingwei wanted to experience more beautiful things with his master in the future. Qi Jing, his face flushed red by Sheng Tingwei's intense gaze, hurriedly reminded him, "Tinger, quickly let go." Someone might see us. Shang Tingwei's head drooped at these words. Don't you plan to make our relationship public? Qi Jing gently rubbed his head and consoled him. A romantic relationship between master and disciple is taboo. Moreover, I am a demon. If we go public, it will only harm you and not benefit you in any way. It will also affect your chances of vying for the position of crown prince. Shang Tingwei's face darkened at these words. He turned around and replied in a low voice, I don't want to be the crown prince. You should know what I want. You've always considered everything for me, Qi Jing, but now you should start thinking about yourself. No matter what it is, I will do my best to make it happen for you. Qi Jing seemed lost in thought, his feelings complex. What he wanted, at first, it was just to escape the tragic fate in the original book. He only wanted to survive and didn't dare to hope for too much. But now, could he really look forward to a future? Qi Jing's eyes were unfocused. He thought for a long time before replying. Let me think about it, and I'll tell you slowly. At this moment, Shui Yin reported from behind, Master, Lu Jiang is here. Seeing Lu Jiang approaching with a gloomy expression, Qi Jing asked what had happened. Lu Jiang, having just been slapped by his stepmother, knelt down with a helpless look and replied, It's about the young lady. Your Highness, forgive my incompetence. As planned, I delivered the account books detailing my father and Prince Ning's corruption to the Empress. But she didn't believe me. Instead, she told my father about it. Now I've been kicked out of the Lu family and can no longer help you. Qi Jing's voice was filled with concern. He quickly comforted Lu Jiang, telling him not to blame himself. Shang Tingwei, however, began to ponder. Things turning out this way might not be a bad thing. The Empress was ambitious. Since she now had leverage against Prince Ning, she would surely take the initiative to attack. This way, they'll fight amongst themselves, and we can benefit. For now, it's best to remain neutral and protect ourselves. Shang Tingwei took Qi Jing's hand and placed it on his chest. Master, do you feel anything? A few hours ago, during the court session, the emperor suddenly fell ill and coughed up blood in public. At the same time, what was frightening was that Shang Tingwei also felt weak and unwell throughout his body. After the court session, the officials discussed how the emperor's health was deteriorating. A suspicion arose in Shang Tingwei's heart. Was this really a coincidence? The timing and symptoms of his attack were exactly the same as his father's. The third prince's voice suddenly came from behind him. Second brother, please wait. You look terrible. Are you unwell? Shang Tingwei shook his head, suspecting the third prince had ulterior motives. The third prince continued, It's strange. Your symptoms when you fell ill seem identical to father's. Shang Tingwei remained silent. So, he wasn't the only one who thought so. The third prince's expression became serious. I've heard that there's an ancient poison called Zimu Gu. When a mother bone is injured, the child bone will automatically bear the pain. And this Zimu Gu can last for 10 years. Come to think of it, it's also been 10 years since you left the palace, brother. Could this really be a coincidence? Shang Tingwei returned to his residence. To help him recover, Qi Jing prepared a bath. After soaking for a while, Shang Tingwei spoke softly. I think we might have been mistaken about my illness before. Before Qi Jing could reply, a naked Shang Tingwei abruptly stood up from the bath. Qi Jing, flustered, covered his face with his hands, peeking through his fingers. Quickly put your clothes on. Shang Tingwei grabbed Qi Jing's hands and placed them on his chest. Did you feel anything before, master? Qi Jing's mind went blank, and he answered honestly, I felt your skin is very smooth. Your chest muscles are very firm. Shang Tingwei chuckled. That's not what I meant. He leaned closer to Qi Jing's ear and whispered, Of course, I'll give you whatever you want. But what I want to say now is, I suspect I've been poisoned with an ancient poison. Shang Tingwei, suspecting he'd been poisoned by his own father, took his master's hand and pleaded, Master, I want to go to the Yiren Pavilion. There might be secrets about the Zimu Gu hidden there. But Qi Jing knew that the Yiren Pavilion was a forbidden area in the palace, accessible only to the emperor. To enter, they needed a legitimate reason. A thought suddenly struck Shi Jing. Princess Qi Ying's dowry, the Demon Slayer sword, was currently being kept by the Yiren Pavilion. They could ask Qi Ying to accompany them inside. Hearing Qi Ying's name, a flicker of displeasure crossed Shang Tingwei's face. I don't want to be near any other wa. Qi Jing remained silent for a moment, then suddenly reached out and grabbed Shang Tingwei's face. He initiated a kiss. breaking away after a short while. Blushing, he said, There. Consider this compensation for your obedience." A dark glint flashed in Sheng Tingwei's eyes. He pulled Qi Jing into his embrace. "That's not enough. I want more." The next moment, Sheng Tingwei smirked and lifted him up. Qi Jing realized what he was about to do and couldn't help but gasp. Sheng Tingwei's tone became suggestive. "I won't let you sleep tonight." The next morning, Qi Ying, having received the message, rushed to the Iran pavilion to meet them. Qi Ying greeted Qi Jing enthusiastically. He had been bored stiff in the palace lately and was delighted to receive Qi Jing's invitation. Hearing Qi Ying's words, Emol Wan, who was behind him, walked over slowly and teased, "The princess being bored is a lie. Not wanting to study is the truth." Qi Ying's face flushed. He turned and pulled Qi Jing towards the Iran pavilion. "Master Qi, come inside with me quickly. I'll take you to see my demon slayer sword." Watching Qi Ying and Qi Jing walk away, Emol Wan approached Sheng Tingwei and said with a forced smile, "Minister Sheng has an appointment with the princess. Why has the second prince also come along?" Sheng Tingwei responded coldly, "Isn't Minister Mo here uninvited as well?" The atmosphere between them immediately froze. Sheng Tingwei and Emol Wan were like fire and water, each believing the other was trying to steal the person in their heart. The four of them arrived at the entrance of the Iran pavilion's inner chambers. However, according to the rules, those entering the inner chambers had to wear blindfolds. Hearing this, Qi Ying proactively took Qi Jing's hand. "Then after I put on the blindfold, I must hold Master Qi's hand." As soon as he finished speaking, Sheng Tingwei objected that why master will hold my hand? You can hold your own master's hand. Amidst the bickering, Qi Jing felt a headache coming on. Taking these children, who were vying for his favor to participate in this strange blindfolded game, was this really okay? A group of ancient people were actually playing blind man's bluff. Seizing the opportunity, Sheng Tingwei called out to Qi Jing and walked to his side. "Master, it's so dark. I am scared." Before Qi Jing could speak, Sheng Tingwei wrapped his arm around Qi Jing's waist. Blindfolded, Qi Jing, having lost his sense of sight, became particularly sensitive to touch. He blushed secretly and muttered, "What are you doing? Princess Qi Ying and the others are still behind us." Sheng Tingwei leaned in closer. "Don't worry, they can't see. Besides, what if they do see? I just want to be close to you." Inside the Iran pavilion, an Iran pavilion guardian respectfully reported to a red-haired man, "Rest assured, pavilion master, the valley has been dealt with. The master and disciple will definitely not find any trace." The pavilion master's expression suddenly darkened. Those two are not a threat. The one to be wary of is the Eam Kingdom's demon guardian, Emol Wan. He is powerful and commands a demon army. If we can't use him and he discovers that this is a demon stronghold, it will ruin our plans. Meanwhile, the four blindfolded individuals arrived at the Iran pavilion's treasury. Seeing Qi Ying's dowry stored there, Qi Jing couldn't help but exclaim, "My goodness, this is the joy of being a rich and beautiful protagonist." Seeing Qi Jing's surprised expression, Qi Ying smiled and walked over. "Master Qi, if you like anything, feel free to take it." Hearing this, the possessive disciple grabbed Qi Jing and whispered in his ear, "Master, if you like, I will collect the world's treasures for you from today onwards and give you a grand wedding with a dowry that stretches for 10 miles. Qi Jing was overwhelmed by their generosity and didn't know how to respond for a moment. Qi Ying continued, "I truly envy the person who can marry Master Qi. I wonder what kind of man is worthy of him." Sheng Tingwei smirked and scoffed. "Naturally, it's someone who can hold master in their heart. And that person is me." Qi Ying led Qi Jing towards the demon slayer sword. It is said that hundreds of years ago, the three great families used this sword to sever the demon king's head and seal his demonic power within the sword. Seeing the sword, Qi Jing's expression darkened. Qi Ying didn't notice the change. He turned to Emol Wan for confirmation. "I'm right, aren't I, master?" Montak Luan nodded indeed. And the demon slayer sword can only be drawn by a descendant with the purest bloodline of the three great families. Hearing this, Qi Ying, unable to draw the sword, turned and asked, "Master Qi, since I've invited you here, do you want to try drawing it yourself?" Qi Jing hesitated. He knew that in the original story, the male protagonist used this sword to kill him. Thinking of this, Qi Jing quickly waved his hand. "Thank you for your kindness, Your Highness, but I'd rather not." At this moment, Sheng Tingwei stepped forward, wanting to try and draw the sword. Mo Wan raised an eyebrow and replied, "As far as I know, the second prince is from a collateral branch of the Sheng family. Your Highness should not be able to draw this sword either." But he'd barely finished speaking when, with a shing, Sheng Tingwei suddenly drew his sword. The moment the guardian demon touched the demon slayer sword, a scene not present in the original book unfolded. Just now, when Sheng Tingwei drew the demon slayer sword, Qi Jing inadvertently touched it. Suddenly, a wave of dizziness washed over her. She heard a shing, then her body was abruptly imprisoned within an iron cage. Within the unfamiliar space, a cold yet familiar voice echoed, "Qi Jing, you truly are foolish." Qi Ying approached, his face grim, his steps slow. His aura sent chills down Qi Jing's spine. From his lips came unfamiliar words. "I tasked you with monitoring Sheng Tingwei, yet you developed genuine feelings for him. Do you know the consequences of betraying me?" Completely bewildered, Qi Jing responded, "Princess, what's wrong? I don't understand what you're saying." Hearing this, a saintly smile spread across Qi Ying's face. "Stop pretending, Qi Jing. You will always be the master who abused him since childhood. He will never know you were coerced by me, nor will he discover that the person he loves has already been possessed by me. How convenient. Your Ting'er will soon, because of your opposition to me, kill you with his own hands." As Qi Jing listened to his words, a chilling coldness seeped into her very being. With a clang, the demon slayer sword fell. Qi Jing's head throbbed. Sheng Tingwei rushed to her side, trying to comfort her, but she couldn't hear a word he said. He only knew that he had never seen this scene before. The guardian demon, Qi Jing, controlled by the demon king, had abused her disciple since childhood, yet developed compassion for him. To free Sheng Tingwei from the demon king's control, she pretended to force her disciple into a desperate situation. In the end, however, Sheng Tingwei mistakenly blamed Qi Ying, whose body was occupied by the demon king. He imprisoned Qi Jing. Seeing Qi Jing's unusual behavior, Qi Ying approached to inquire about her condition. But now, looking at Qi Ying, Qi Jing felt only fear. She couldn't discern who he truly was, the real princess or the demon king who had possessed his body at some unknown point. Meeting Qi Jing's fearful gaze, Qi Ying panicked slightly. Seeing this, Mo Wan stepped forward to defuse the situation. He explained that he had forgotten to mention the demon slayer sword's threat to demons. Sheng Tingwei, hearing this, looked displeased, feeling that Mo Wan had done it on purpose. He gently embraced Qi Jing, drawing her close. "Master, don't be afraid. I'll take you out of here." Qi Jing, fighting her discomfort, shook her head in refusal. "We came here for a reason, and we haven't finished our business yet." Before she could finish, Sheng Tingwei sternly interrupted her. "Nothing is more important than your safety." With that, Sheng Tingwei lifted Qi Jing and carried her away. Watching this scene, Qi Ying felt a pang of annoyance. He murmured, "It seems the second prince is sincere towards Master Qi." Seeing Qi Ying's downcast expression, Mo Wan seemed to rub his head. "Silly girl, haven't you realized yet?" Mo Wan's gaze suddenly sharpened. "That if you want to win his heart, you must become Qi Jing's enemy. But can you do that?" The disciple completely ignored everyone else, carrying his master away. As soon as they returned to their room, Qi Jing spoke, refusing Sheng Tingwei's ministrations that "I don't need a rest yet. We still have unfinished business." Sheng Tingwei countered, "What kind of business are you referring to?" He caressed Qi Jing's face, his tone suggestive. "Are you referring to this kind?" Sheng Tingwei's expression softened. "Nothing is more important than your health. Be good." Hearing this, Qi Jing, who was usually so composed in his presence, couldn't help but blush, her demeanor becoming shy and demure. The next moment, Sheng Tingwei suddenly shed his outer robe, discarding all formality. Before Qi Jing could speak, he pulled her down onto the bed with him. "I'm a little tired. Do you mind if I share your bed?" Qi Jing became even more flustered, turning away to avoid his gaze. "That I won't be able to sleep if I'm looking at your face." Hearing this, Sheng Tingwei grew bolder. He embraced Qi Jing from behind. "But I need to see your face to sleep. What should we do?" After a moment of silence, Qi Jing sighed. She turned to face Sheng Tingwei. How about this? A faint smile played on Sheng Tingwei's lips as he held her tighter. Seeing his reflection in Qi Jing's eyes, he gently kissed her forehead. Now I can rest easy. However, the moment Qi Jing closed her eyes, she was once again confronted with the image of Qi Ying possessed by the Demon King. She grew increasingly confused by the diverging storyline. Qi Jing let out a quiet sigh, which Sheng Tingwei overheard. Opening her eyes, she asked, puzzled, "You're not asleep?" Sheng Tingwei's expression was wistful. He thought of his mother. His ability to draw the Demon Slayer sword today was undoubtedly connected to his mother's lineage. He had never imagined that his mother would be a descendant of one of the three great families. This led him to wonder, was his mother's death truly an accident? Furthermore, what was his father's purpose in planting the goo poison in him? Why could Qi Jing see Sheng Tingwei's panic and unease? He softened his voice to comfort him. Sheng Tingwei buried his head in Qi Jing's neck, showing his most vulnerable side to her. The thought that his father, the closest person in the world, didn't love him and even wanted to use him, made Sheng Tingwei's heart ache. Qi Jing patted his back gently. "Tingwei, at least you still have me. I will never betray you, and I will never leave you." Hearing these words, Sheng Tingwei's expression suddenly became serious. "Qi Jing, remember your promise. I won't forget mine either. I will become the emperor and break the contract for you."